Kylie.
And I'm Corey.
And we are Lit Libations. Welcome.
Welcome to our second October episode.
So exciting. This has been so much fun.
It has been so far.
Because I genuinely, so obviously, if you can see us, you'll see that we are dressed as like people.
Hogwarts students. You didn't even say anything.
Harry Potter people.
Yeah, Hogwarts students.
I didn't know.
I'm a Ravenclaw.
Yeah. I'm a Slytherin.
Not a specific one, just like a nondescript Ravenclaw.
Well, I am a Slytherin.
Yeah.
If I was a wizard or a witch or whatever, I would be a Slytherin. Taken the. I was telling her I've taken every test there is to take, and I'm a Slytherin
every time.
Every single time I'm a Slytherin, which is shocking because I thought I would be a Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Not a way in hell would I be a Ravenclaw. I'm not smart enough, and I didn't think I would be a Hufflepuff because I'm too like. Competitive,
yeah,
and like my personality is a little overwhelming. I fear.
I can see that.
But you are a Ravenclaw.
I don't remember actually. I think it was Gryffindor, and then one time it was Slytherin. I don't remember, but I remember my Patronus. Have you ever done that one?
No, I haven't. What is
mine?
Yours?
Was like a snake, like a rattlesnake. I'm like, that's not right. That's incorrect. But no.
What do you think yours would be?
Oh. I don't know. A dog. A cat. I don't know. Nothing crazy.
I could see a cat.
A bear, a black bear.
Yeah.
I feel like I talk about bears a lot.
You do talk about bears.
I don't even like bears that much.
Yeah.
They've just been on my mind a lot lately.
I've just been thinking about bears.
You know?
Sometimes you just think about bears.
I'm getting hot.
Because of bears?
Oh, not like that. Not like that. Anyways, we're doing Haunting Adeline Part 2 today by H.D. Carlton.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Yes, and you guys, we did not take an edible this time, so if the first episode was a little tough to get through because of us.
I think it's so far very good. I'm in the middle of editing it.
Okay.
It's very funny. It's hard, right? Because like this book is very serious. Like it's so serious, but it's also so unserious in a way because it
has very serious themes, but it's also just written so goofily sometimes.
It's hard to like take a lot of it super like.
I agree.
The only things that I can find, obviously, like and there were some tough things too, like him and his him forcibly forcing himself on her. It's just like not great.
No.
But also like the child trafficking, I struggled through reading, but everything else just was very, very like unserious.
Yeah, the last few chapters where they get into that was like,
that was hard, right? It was so hard.
Yeah, I was like getting sick.
I was too.
I read it last night. I finished it last night in bed, and I was like, "Oh my god, hurry up!"
It is. No, it's sickening.
Yeah,
the second one, I want you to read it, but it's worse.
I believe it because this does leave off on a cliffhanger, and I immediately downloaded the second book. I'm like scrolling, find out who this person is.
Yeah. So did you find out?
Yeah.
We'll do. I want to do a little bit of a small recap at the end about what the Hunting Adeline is about, just very small. And we will have spoilers, but we'll let you know before there are any spoilers. Because we're not going to review that book on the podcast. It's just, it's a lot. And I just don't know if we can.
Or if it would even like be an enjoyable experience.
The second half is better than I would enjoy reading the second half but the first half is, it was hard to read through.
Yeah.
But it was also vital, in my opinion.
Okay. And this does leave off on a cliffhanger. So if you do want to listen to see what the second one's about, and then stick around at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me read the
trigger warnings again. The contents are very dark with triggering situations, such as non-dub con between the main characters, graphic violence, human trafficking, stalking, child sacrifice, mentions of child death, and explicit sexual situations. There are also particular kinks such as gunplay, somnophilia, bondage, and degradation. This book was previously taken down due to the warning, but you can also find them in reviews on my website, or feel free to message me directly. Your mental health matters. That was from the author in the beginning of the book.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, no gunplay this round.
But a lot of
everything
else. more of the child trafficking and child sacrifice and
mentions
that sort of stuff. So if any of that stuff does not resonate with you in a great way, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and we'll give you more trigger warnings, but chapter by chapter.
Not that any of that would register in a great way, but I mean, like, if it, do you know what I'm, I hope all of you know what I mean.
If you really can't handle that at this moment,
exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah. Everyone knows what I mean by that.
I didn't even think about that.
Gracious.
Our drink this week is inspired by Sibby, which I thought she was like just such a fun new character to add to the second half of this book. So we're just drinking our black vodka that we had from our Akatar days.
Yeah. What is it called? Blavod.
Oh my God, it kind of sounds
Blavod.
Like Dracula and blood and vodka. And red edible glitter. So it's all glittery.
Yeah, and I am obsessed with Sibby.
Me too.
Especially after the second book.
Oh my gosh.
She is an icon and I'm obsessed. So people may think that's controversial. I don't. I think she's perfect.
I think she's like the best character so far. She's like just so out of pocket and so unexpected. I'm like, oh, okay. We're doing this. All right.
She's incredible. I love her. All right.
The drink is good. It's not too strong.
Yeah, it's just basically a vodka
cranberry
/ grape.
I forgot about the cranberry part. Yeah, we went the black vodka and cranberry grape juice, and it's really good. It's just vodka and red glitter.
Because I don't drink cranberry juice on my own.
No.
You know, I had to make it cran grapes. That way my daughter might actually. Yeah. So it doesn't go to
you consume it afterwards. It's good. I like it. So yeah. You may or may not. So Maisie is here, obviously. She's always here. Brutus is somewhere in the room right now. My other dog. He had like a little medical event yesterday. But he's okay at the moment. I just want him in here so we can monitor him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He like went behind the couch already.
But he's quiet and he's sweet. Yeah. So no problem. There'll be no problem.
You may see him or you may not. So. Okay.
Let's get this fucker started.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Trigger warning for the use of cock and pussy more
in your
than
chapters
I can even describe.
Oh no, I'm so nervous.
I just need to get it out of the way really quick because I'm gonna be saying cock and pussy. Maybe not trigger warning. I shouldn't say trigger warning.
Yeah, maybe.
Content warning for you saying the word cock and pussy. Both of those words. I might switch it up and say like dick. And, meat taco or
don't say that. Don't say that.
Hot dog bun. You never know. We'll see.
I'm excited. I have like most of the sex scenes I think. And I don't. Mine are very vague compared to probably what she's got.
I have planned. I have 2 very, very, very explicit ones.
Oh gosh. Stoked. All right, let's get into it. Where did we leave off? Do you remember? No. It was
No.
Me either. I had to look back. I'm like, what actually happened? It was when Zayd came into her bedroom and they had that non-consensual blowjob scene in her bedroom.
I don't know why, but I blocked that one out of my mind.
Yeah,
I can remember almost every sex scene except for that one.
That's so funny.
It's so weird. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, so there's that. Okay, chapter 22. The Shadow. So from Zayd's POV. Zayd is on his way to stalk Addie, who is writing at a bar and grill called Bailey's, when Predator Senator Mark comes barreling out of a lawyer's office nearby. Like, they almost physically collide.
Yeah.
Mark is delighted to see Zayd and offers to walk Zayd back to his car because that's what he said he was doing. They walk right past Bailey's, and Mark is like, oh my God, I love that place. Let's stop for a drink. This makes Zayd want to grind his own teeth to dust. And the main reason he doesn't grind his own teeth to dust is because then he wouldn't be able to bite Addie's clit anymore. That's what he said. Zayd.
Could you imagine his gums?
Ew.
Trying to nip at her clit.
I don't want to. He's like, I shouldn't have ground my own teeth down. It does.
It doesn't have the same effect.
Get dentures. Zayd, very half-heartedly, in my humble opinion, tries to steer him away from Bailey's, but Mark insists, and they go in and get seated 5 tables from Addie, of course. She doesn't notice as she is writing her manuscript, probably.
Yeah.
Zayd avoids looking at Addie so Mark doesn't target her. He notices Mark obviously leering at a 5-year-old girl, and Zayd pretends to do the same, but don't worry. He'd rather slit his own throat than even pretend to look at a child in a sexual manner. So he just makes eyes at the plate of chicken tenders near the girl instead. And he says that like so many times. Like,
yeah,
I'm not even going to look at her.
Yeah.
So like, don't worry, I'm not doing that.
Making sure everyone knows.
I'm not like these guys.
Yeah.
And Mark notices him also looking. And it's important that Zaid come across as a similar monster to Mark. Eventually, Mark notices Addie. He snaps a photo of her and goes to immediately send it to someone when Zaid covers Mark's phone with his hand, tells him to stop whatever he's doing because that girl, that's my girl.
That's mine.
That's my girl. He explains he's left her alone up until this point because she's working and he respects her space. Throughout this whole scene, he actually is like written as like a normal character, like a normal person.
Oh,
Like the way he talks about how him and Addie, like their relationship and where they live and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, it could be like that. It's like nice.
yeah. So
Just in case we forgot to mention
that
somewhere
before,
and we don't remember where it's actually at.
Addie asks him, by the way, he calls her Addie more in the second book, and I prefer that.
Oh, it's just easier.
Yeah.
Rolls off the tongue.
Right. So Adeline / Addie / Adeline / Adeline. Adeline, fucking whatever. Asked him like why he's pursuing her the way that he's pursuing her, and he says that, you know, he could have introduced himself as like a normal guy and made her fall in love with him like in a normal way, like taking her out on dates and doing things like, you know, that would be considered like normal,
like regular
courting. And he says, but he didn't want to do that because he wanted to, she would have fell in love with a lie.
Yeah.
He wanted to show her the deepest, darkest parts of himself and make her fall in love with those parts. And that would have been more honest than to be fake and then present himself and then like have to, because he's like, if you would have found out that I was dark later, then you would have surely left. If I would have shown it to you up front, like that, then you know what you're getting yourself into, even though getting yourself into is crazy because
forcing
she doesn't really have a
you wouldn't know what I was forcing you into.
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting take on a courtship, but yeah, that's where we're at.
But that's his mindset. His logic, his mindset, his like phrase, words. Not really his direct words, but like paraphrase.
Right.
Yeah.
So Zaid explains to Mark that he's left her alone up until this point because she's working and he respects her space. Mark takes this as his cue to get up and introduce himself to Addie. Addie pales so much at seeing Zaid that he is ready to squirt some spray tan lotion on her to hide how unhappy she is to see him. And I thought that was so funny. I actually laughed at that one. I'm like, that's funny. Mark uses Zaid's fake name while talking to Addie, and she plays along, pretending to be Zaid's girlfriend, and Zaid keeps an eye on Mark's crotch because if his khakis tent, he'll kill him here and now.
Yeah.
He's like, if you get an erection talking to my girlfriend, like, you're done.
You're dead.
Right here.
And what was Zaid's fake name again? Wasn't it Zach
Forthright?
Forthright.
I love how it's forthright. That's so, because he is forthright and
he is,
you know,
in everything he does.
Everything he does.
Yeah.
And then they sit down with her at her table, which is crazy. Mark gets a phone call pretty immediately and he leaves to take it. Addie tries to pack up and leave like frantically, but Zaid stops her and says, quote, "If you've never taken me seriously before, then do it now, Adeline." I like that line.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is serious.
Oh.
He explains that this meeting was an accident and Mark is a dangerous man who has his sights set on Adeline. Mark returns and Addie tells him she's working on a cold case from the 40s, and Mark knows that case because his father, Frank, was
Frank.
We've heard that name, right? Okay,
I think we have. I could be wrong.
Okay, he's in the diary. I think so. He's in the diaries.
Yeah.
He was a detective during that time, but he didn't work the case because he was Gigi and John's friend. Conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it was probably John that killed Gigi. That's what my dad believes. Adeline is excited that she might be able to finally prove that Gigi was killed by her stalker. Hopefully, that's what she wants. She's like, it needs to be her stalker.
It has to be.
Before he dips, Mark invites Zaid and Addie to a charity event at his house next weekend and promises Addie to tell her more about what he knows about Gigi's murder, manipulating her into wanting to go. And Zaid thinks, quote, "No one manipulates my girl but me."
That's word for word. Probably.
It was direct.
Direct quote.
They don't make any promises on attending, though. Zaid walks Addie back to her car, and Addie insists she wants to go to the party because if she finds out for sure that Ronaldo murdered Gigi, then she can once and for all convince herself to convince Zaid to get out of her life and shut up. That was a Napoleon Dynamite reference. Get out of my life and shut up.
Shut up.
Addie says she wants Zayd to go to prison and be sentenced to death. And then Zayd asks if she'll be her last meal. Quote,
I remember this.
"You taste like heaven. I could feast on that sweet little pussy for hours and still die a starving man. It'll be the closest I will ever get to God before they inject me with the needle. Don't you agree?" And then they start making out like horny teenagers, and a small child walking nearby asks if they are having sex. He's like, "Mommy, are they having sex?" And she's like, "Get in the car, little Tina."
I'm sorry. Zayd is a lot. He's a lot. But that line it hits so hard. I can't. When I read that, I was like, oh my God. Like,
The last
I might
meal
need to
one?
I might need to go change my pants because that is Riz like I've never heard in my life.
I don't like it.
I
I don't like anything that refers to like heaven and God, and like just because like that is like we use that to like compare like the greatest thing. It's like,
oh sure, yeah.
so
sure.
if somebody compares themselves to God, I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, I'm out of here.
No, and I don't disagree. But honestly,
but you know, that's where I'm at, and that's where you're
that
at.
was a lot. That was
Yeah, it was crazy.
I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that at all.
And then Addie leaves in an irritated huff and tells him to text her the details about the party. Chapter 23, The Manipulator. Addie is wearing a red strapless gown sent by Zayd. The party is tonight. She is on the phone with Dea, explaining the sitch with Mark and Zayd, and she's like, "I can honestly say he did everything in his power to avoid the situation." He didn't. Mark was like, "Let's go to Bailey's." He's like, "No, let's go somewhere else." He's like, "No, but I want to drink at Bailey's." He's like, "Fine."
Well, yeah, because if he would have been like,
explained it later.
Well, he kind of explained it in the moment. He goes, if I try to push it too far right now, like he'll think something's strange. He has to be like completely compliant to Mark because Mark's used to getting his way.
It's so silly.
I know. I get it though, because when you're undercover, like you're not thinking like you would in a normal situation.
It's gotta be
you're
tough.
thinking like,
I can't
make
imagine.
sure that person is as happy as possible in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah,
while
we gotta
not
be buddy
being
buddy. I gotta be on
strange.
your side.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It would be a tough position to be. I couldn't be in undercover anything
No.
ever.
No, I remember there's this one story of this. It's a true crime story. I don't remember the details, but an FBI agent was sent to pick up a person of interest, and so he didn't know anything about like how this guy was a person of interest. So he picked him up, and then he was just like talking and just being like himself around him, and then the guy confessed to like all the murders because he was just like being himself and like being a normal guy. He wasn't like playing anything. He wasn't playing a part. And then the guy felt so comfortable with him that he just like confessed.
Yeah, but also he probably knew that he was an FBI agent, right?
Yeah,
or
he did.
Did he think
Yeah.
he was a regular guy?
No, he knew he was an FBI agent.
Gotcha.
But the FBI agent didn't know if like really much details about why he was coming in.
Gotcha.
That he just had to go pick him up.
Well, and like in that situation, that's crazy. But like, if you're in an undercover situation, you know what I'm
That's
saying? Or if they
different.
don't know who you are, they don't know you're an FBI agent. You have like something
I would
to
be
lose.
sweating. I would be sweating
I
the whole
would
time.
be drenched,
in more
and not
more
in a
ways than
good
one.
way. No, not in more ways than one.
Okay,
One way only.
Sorry. Anyways, Dea says, "He's not Z, is he?" And then she says she works for Z, which is new info that they're just throwing in at us.
But you guessed it, right?
That she worked for Z?
Mm-hmm.
Not up until that point.
Oh,
I was like, what?
okay, maybe just I did.
Well, I wasn't really thinking about it. But I mean, I'm not super surprised, but
Madeline just made a point to say that her friend was like a great hacker.
Yeah,
like
so
any
funny.
chance that she
She's
got.
gotta be working for Z.
And
She's a
Zayd
hacker.
when she's an activist that reveals secrets of the government.
Maybe I didn't pay
is
attention to those
constantly
details.
hacking things.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And then we learned that Z is an organization that is well known in society, which I assumed it was more secret, but it's in like the media and like on their TikToks and stuff.
that is crazy.
And it's the government's public enemy number one. It is crazy to think about. Like, I can't even compare it to anything in real life.
We have nothing to compare it to.
Adeline says, "I don't know. I just want to solve Gigi's murder." So, and Dea is still like, "Okay, but what the fuck? You don't need to go to a senator's party with your stalkers to get that info." But Dea just doesn't get a thrill out of danger like Addie does, so she wouldn't understand.
She's too logical, too practical. It's so
Just doesn't
annoying.
get it.
Yeah.
Zayd picks her up in his classic Mustang, and he looks amazing all done up, like a dark god, she describes. But he's smoking, and she chides him for littering when he tosses his cigarette butt. quote, Zayd is Hades, stepping out from the underworld and wreaking havoc on my quiet little life.
At least she compares him to more than one god. Like, it's not just
like
God.
Jesus or whatever, or like Jesus' dad.
I mean, sometimes they compare him to Jesus, but like she's like,
I do like how,
he's not limited to one god.
I love that for her.
He's like every god rolled into one, apparently.
I love that.
Yeah, I
like that
too.
quote.
Yeah.
Zayd tucks a rose behind her hair and wrenches her trench coat open to make sure she's wearing his dress. He makes a comment about what ring would look best on her hand, and she says she doesn't want a ring, and she'd say no to a marriage proposal. And then he makes her take off his belt. Oh my God, sorry, it just goes.
It does. It really does.
Yeah. So he makes her take off his belt, loops it around her neck, and then takes out his dick, which is hard.
And big.
And we know it's big.
Every time it gets whipped out, she's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die choking on how big this thing is.
Oh my God.
Literally every time it's going to split me open. Like, these are all things she said.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. It's graphic. I left all that out. But Addie has played this game before. She knows that Zayd expects her to fight. Well, not this time. Instead, she just violently tries to swallow his dick. That'll show him. And he's choking.
I had to reread it 6 times. I was so
like, wait,
confused.
what?
I was like, how is giving him a blowjob taking control right now?
Right. It's so twisted.
Confused.
He's choking her until her vision blackens, like with the belt. She threatens to bite his dick, etc., etc. It's very rough. It's very long. She does this until he comes. And Addie feels fine because she took control of the situation before he could force himself on her. So it's all good in the hood. And she didn't even smudge her lipstick. Okay.
Because
that's insane too. I'm like, your mascara has got to be all down your face. Like, you got to be looking fucked up.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Because she was crying the whole time.
Right?
Not from like sadness, but like
you know what we mean.
Yeah. The girlies know what we mean. The girlies
and the gays. Maybe.
Exactly. And exactly that
was a reaction.
And exactly, it just wasn't expected.
Anyways,
it's just very unexpected. I'm sorry, but you're not wrong.
When they get in the car, Addie asks what this is all about and what Zayd does for a living, and he tells her openly and honestly that he's a hacker, etc. And Adeline realizes it's true. He is Z, and he's Dea's boss, which is crazy. And she's like, okay, wow, that's so crazy. So, like, what's Mark's deal then? And he tells her about the leaked video of the sadistic ritual of a child, and the plot for the foreseeable future is about taking down that cult.
And ending sex trafficking.
And eradicating it, is what I like to say.
Yeah.
She asks him, quote, how can you work to save women while actively stalking another? And literally his answer is, I've never stalked anyone before. You're the first one, so
Don't you feel special?
Now we're moving on.
Yeah.
But this information makes her see Zayd in a different light, and in a more positive light, I think. She's like, holy shit, what? That's crazy.
I think at one point she goes, I shouldn't feel special because I'm the only person he's ever stalked, but I kind of do.
Yeah, like maybe, but at the same time.
Maybe this does change things.
Meanwhile, on July 4th, 1945, Gigi and John are hosting a 4th of July party, which is one of Gigi's favorite holidays. But John is angry and yelling at Sarah, their daughter, and throwing plates, and Gigi can't wait for Frank to come over to get John under control so she can entertain her guests. It's not going well.
It's not going well.
Chapter 24, The Manipulator. They get to Mark's house, and Zayd tells Addie that, by the way, to these people, I'm Zach Forthright, and I'm a self-made millionaire. We live together at your house, but I cheat on you at gentlemen's clubs. But he says that they live together at Parsons Manor. Like, why would he give specifics?
Why would they live together at Parsons Manor?
Yeah, why can't he just say, yeah, we live together? Like, we've been together for a while.
Yeah, well, true.
You know,
we moved into my girlfriend's house.
Apartment.
I guess it is 3-story. It's a mansion,
and it's I feel like a well-known one, like in the community.
Yeah,
you know, that's Parsons Manor.
Yeah, because you don't just say Parsons Manor unless people know Parsons Manor.
And they're like, oh, okay, sweet. So Addie, the girl that we was on our radar, it lives at Parsons Manor. Wonderful.
Yeah, and it's like upgraded now. It has heated floors.
Yeah, those heated floors. You know what?
And the porch has a facelift.
This morning, my floors were really cold, and I'm like, God damn, I wish I had Addie's money.
Yeah, why don't I have Addie's writing money?
I wish I did.
Why wasn't I an indie author?
Is it too late? He also tells her not to give Mark any personal information. Don't give him anything that you care about that he can use against you. Keep the conversation on Gigi's murder. Addie thinks Mark's massive house is ugly. typical and downright boring. Objectively, I thought it sounded gorgeous.
You know, she's a little hater because just because you like all black and be like gothic style, which is fine, which is great, which is amazing. Don't be hating on other people's
Every other style.
Yeah, what the fuck? I was like, girl, you're being a pick-me.
Truly.
She was being a real pick-me in this moment. I agree.
A butler ushers them to a ballroom, like a Bridgerton ballroom. And she said, like, in the 1800s when you had to, like, dance around for your husband or whatever.
Yeah, dance cards and shit.
Yeah. And she's disgusted by it. And she turns her nose up at it. And Zaid's like, fix your face. Fix your face. I'd be like, oh my God, this is so cool. Even though subjectively you're like, I mean,
you're in like a pedophile's home.
Yeah.
Which, and like, that's shitty.
That's where her mind is at.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I don't think that's where her mind is at. I think she could have been in a non-pedophile's home and she still would have turned up her
I
nose
think
to the
you're
house.
right. She's like, where's all the black? Like,
yeah. Why is it not
Where's
as cool
the
as my taste?
checkered floor.
Because honestly, like, that's kind of my style. So I felt a little... I kind of like clean and like... And maybe I'm basic. I don't give a fuck.
No, yeah. It does sound objectively beautiful. It does. Sounded wonderful.
Thank you. Fuck.
It did.
So rude.
Zaid works the room with grace and ease. People eat up his words and he's making impressions. Addie is holding her own as well, although with less confidence. She fakes it till she makes it. And here's what she said, quote, on the inside, it feels like my stomach is a black hole, crumpling my insides like a wadded up piece of paper. What does that mean even?
I don't know.
Mark finally greets them joyfully and introduces his ripe cherry red haired wife, Claire. But he calls her my wife and she has to introduce herself basically. And Addie is like, oh my God, like irritated at the misogyny.
Yeah.
It's clear to Addie from Claire's appearance that she's abused. He invites them to his study in about an hour, and his butler, Marion, will escort them when it's time. I love we get another butler.
I love every time we get a butler
moments.
Yes. Such a butler name, too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And no matter what century we're in.
I love it.
We're always getting true
yeah.
butler fucking names.
Love that. He tells Adeline specifically he's looking forward to talking to her about Gigi. Meanwhile, on September 27th, 1945, World War II has ended, but the war in Parsons Manor has not. Ronaldo is taking Gigi out for a picnic, and she's scared to tell Ronaldo about John's behavior getting worse and worse, and that she is considering a divorce. And she's also scared the court won't grant divorce, which is crazy to think about. You have to have like some ties.
Well,
to get a divorce.
Yeah, and that
like
in that time period, it probably was like that probably until this is just a guess, so leave me alone. Probably until like 1970s, 1980s.
I was gonna say 40s, but like this is the 40s.
I think it's even later.
That's insane. I can't even imagine.
Because I bet like it was more you could have them in these time periods, but it just still was hard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When did women's rights become a thing?
1919.
Oh.
No, that was when they had got the right to vote, but we're still fighting for women's rights.
No, true. I just mean like, I guess voting was more so. What about? Well, there's still a lot of oppression.
Yeah,
in the 1940s.
Yeah,
a ton
everywhere.
So you look. I mean, that does make sense.
It's crazy to think about. Chapter 25: The Shadow. Zaid is fantasizing about shooting people in the head in the ballroom because he's losing his mind being around these people. He tells Addie, let's get out of here, and they slip out of the ballroom. Zaid is thinking now would be a good time to find and search through Mark's personal items. Okay, keep that in mind.
It's a great idea.
Don't worry. He asked Jay to take care of the security cameras, so they're safe.
You just sliced him up. and you know what is crazy? Jay is a really good hacker. But not as good as Zaid, because Zaid was the one
who taught him.
You know? So, but he's good enough.
He's all he's got because Zaid has to be on the floor.
Yeah. He has to be the one torturing
at the same time.
No, he can't.
So, yeah, he likes the torturing too much.
Yeah. Jay. Shout out to Jay.
He starts opening random doors, peeking inside, finding nothing interesting. Then they find and walk into a soundproof movie theater where Zaid just selects a horror movie that hasn't been released yet and puts it on to watch. And he makes fun of Addie for being scared of being caught.
Yeah.
They have a daddy-daughter kink moment, which feels out of place.
What?
And like gross.
What do you mean daddy-daughter kink?
He says something about like being a daddy, and then she's like, does that mean I'm your little girl?
Oh. I don't remember that. Maybe I blocked that out.
With good reason.
That's horrible.
And he says, if you were my little girl, I would.
Oh, now it's coming back to me.
And he says a lot of gross things. And Addie says, I would take a knife and cut every inch of my skin from my body so nothing would be left of your touch. It was just like a really weird moment.
Yeah, that I think I actually now do remember. I think I did block that out.
Yeah, it was weird. He puts the movie on and forces Addie to sit on his lap. He lets her watch the movie for several minutes, and she's getting turned on because like it's a scary movie and people are like dying and stuff.
Yeah, scary things turn her on.
Yeah. He hikes up her dress around her thighs. He starts to touch her exposed sex, but makes her watch the movie, and people are dying on screen, and that makes her wetter and wetter. Then he finger fucks her, and she gets so wet she's creating a pool on his pants and on the seat. She comes and quote, oh my God, Zayd, stop. She chants, her juices flooding so heavily from her core that I feel them spilling past my hand.
That's so she squirted, but that's fine. And here's the thing. How impractical is what I was thinking. He has to go back out and like be around people, and he's just gonna have like a giant wet
spot. It's okay. His pants are black. It's okay.
Of course.
Don't worry.
That checks out.
Also, like they're in this like soundproof movie theater. I have to imagine in Mark, the pedophile's home, I have to imagine he uses that for
cameras. That he has cameras in there.
Well, Jay's got that taken care of.
Oh.
No,
right.
But like he probably uses that for like similar things that Zayd is doing right now. With children. That's what I was thinking.
I actually was thinking that too.
How can you fucking do this right now? It's disgusting.
This is gross. No, I agree. I'm with you.
Disgusting.
Hands down. I'm with you.
Anyways, luckily his pants are black, like we just said, and he almost leaves money behind to compensate whoever has to clean that seat. But I'd like to note that he doesn't leave any money.
I would like to note that he doesn't leave money.
He's like, damn, I should leave money. Like,
it's okay. He takes care of the house staff later on.
Yeah.
You don't know yet.
No, I don't.
He takes care of the house staff in the second book.
Okay.
So don't worry about the house staff.
Good. Okay. They got it in a good way or a bad way?
No, he takes not like takes care of them like dead. He takes care of them.
Okay.
I should say it in this. He takes care of them.
He doesn't take care of them.
He takes care of them. Yeah, he takes care of them.
I get it. Awesome. Good for them. Then they leave. Zayd runs to get in front of Addie, and they never cut the movie. They never turned the movie off.
I was thinking that too.
They never turned it off.
So evidence that they were in there.
Yeah,
like
what the fuck?
It's crazy.
The audacity. Like you are trying to be undercover. Like what? I just don't understand your. I just gotta go fuck her really quick with my fingers.
Finger fuck her. Yeah.
In this movie.
To completion.
In this room. Crazy.
I will never not see a finger fucking moment to completion and think, what? Because I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
He does stimulate her clit, though.
Okay.
There is a lot of clit stimulation.
Yeah, there. Okay,
that's good.
So, yeah. That makes sense.
At least that's normal.
Just like finger jabbing. It's not going to get the job done in most cases. Anyways. 26.
You didn't have to do the motion.
My bad. Sorry, YouTubers. Chapter 26, The Manipulator. They get back to the ballroom, and immediately Marion, the butler, finds them to escort them to see Mark in a private room. Maybe his study, maybe the drawing room.
We don't know.
Addie takes in the sights of the house because she'll never step foot inside it again. But hey, at least she got to watch an unreleased movie.
Even she didn't get to finish.
You know, she didn't get to finish
the
end of the movie. Yeah. They greet each other enthusiastically, and Adeline spots the Ouroboros hanging above a table. Mark says, anyway, Adeline, your grandmother had this signature red lip. I still remember it clearly. It was very red. And she's like, okay, what about her murder? Do you remember anything from that?
Okay, that was weird. Moving on.
He tells her his father, Frank, was sure that Gigi was cheating on John, and that must have been the reason that John snapped and killed her. It doesn't...
Gotta be.
Yeah, I can see it.
You can see it.
He would say that, Frank.
9 out of 10 times it is. Yeah, well, 9 out of 10 times it is the husband.
You gotta look there first.
Then it makes sense.
It doesn't seem like Mark or Frank knew anything about Gigi's stalker, which is interesting. Adeline is faced with the possibility that John was actually the one who killed Gigi. Frank told John to lay off the gambling. John owed a man named Angelo Salvatore, a notorious crime lord in the area, and then Ronaldo, who was Angelo's right-hand man, convinced Angelo to hire John to launder money for him and pay off his debts in the process instead of killing him like he was about to. So Ronaldo saved John's life. So I guess that just makes things
crazy.
Interesting.
Wow. You know what's so crazy is Angelo Salvatore, which our readers will know if you've ever watched Vampire Diaries.
Do you think he's a vampire? Wait, I've never watched it.
I mean, maybe, because
that'd be cool. Does he come back in the second book?
No.
Oh. And that'd be cool.
The main characters, the main vamps in the Vampire Diaries are Stefan and Damon. Guess their last name? Salvatore. So I'm sure there's no connection.
I'm pretty sure the author just Googled 1940s crime names. Just pick the first one. Anyways, Adeline makes fun of John for having gambling debt while also being good with numbers. She's like, how can he do that? He's so fucking stupid.
He wasn't counting cards. What a fucking idiot.
Yeah. And he was laundering money successfully. Yeah. She asks Mark what made Frank try to pin the blame on John. And he's like, I don't know, probably justice for Gigi. Anyway, we'll talk about it in a few weeks at another charity ball, which he tries to manipulate them to attend. But Zayd's like, I'll have to look at my schedule.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll be free.
Yeah. They chew the cud for another hour. And Adeline thinks about all that was said. Quote, even when you're married to someone for over a decade, it's possible to never really know them and what they're capable of. But I feel like that's true for every single person in your life, regardless of how much you know them. Or
true.
How long you've known them.
True. I've got deep, dark secrets. No, I'm just kidding. I trauma dumped on you for
you
like
did.
an hour the other day.
All your secrets. I'm like, whoa. I didn't ask for this.
Whoa.
We're just like at our car in the parking lot at volleyball. I'm like, whoa.
Sometimes you just got to pick your moment.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That was the moment.
That was it.
We learned a lot. I learned a lot. Anyway,
I have no more secrets. Yeah. That's it.
But I still feel like I feel like I know Austin inside and out. But at the same time, I know that like you don't truly know somebody.
Yeah, like what they're capable of.
Yeah.
I feel like.
She's like, oh my God, if I ever fell in love with Zayd, he could kill me one day, like for sure. Like, yes, girl, think that. Yeah. Mark is sloshed and slurring his speech, and it's written very poorly. I didn't like it. His phone rings for like the 5th time, and he drops it because he's drunk. And he's like, that damn leaked video is so annoying. And he's talking about the leaked video of the ritual, of course. He insists that it was taken care of, and the society is tracking down like whoever leaked it. And Addie and Zayd can hear him saying these things. And I don't think he's like saying it to them. He's just like talking to him, like mumbling to himself.
Yeah, I think so. They are asking him questions, I thought, though.
Like,
oh, yeah. He's like, what video?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
And he's like, no,
doesn't matter.
I was killing that person.
And under his breath, he's like, well, we really know who to blame. It's like, it's Z.
Yeah.
And Zayd's like, oh. They talk for another 10 minutes before they make their way out of there, and Adeline thinks if Zayd murders Mark, she would condone it. It'd be fine. A week later, Zayd is teaching Adeline the necessary moves to get out of a chokehold. She's struggling to focus because she's getting too turned on when he chokes her. Zayd is paranoid that Mark's men will make a move to kidnap her soon, and he has men stationed outside her house. Addie blames Zayd for all these men coming after her and all these troubles all the time, and that pisses him off. Quote, don't pretend like fucking Archie would have been the end of it. That man would have dragged you into a life full of pain and suffering, and Max and the rest of them would have stood idly by while Archie destroyed you from the inside out. I saved you from that life.
True.
Like dramatic a little bit, but okay.
I agree, though. I agree.
And about Mark didn't show up at Bailey's because of me, Adeline, and he wasn't seated where he could get a perfect view of you because of me. I brought no attention to you whatsoever and did my best to keep him distracted, but I can't control a man's wandering eye, even if you're a decade older than his normal taste. And she's like, why didn't you just go somewhere else? And he said, do you think I possess magic and can influence men to do whatever I say?
Like you should. You compare yourself to God.
I was going to say, like, you do have influence. You scared Max off for the time being.
Yeah.
You probably do this shit all the time.
But while doing it undercover is a little tough.
Well, whatever. He could have tried harder. That's all I'm saying. He said he tried to get Mark to go somewhere else, but Mark insisted. Then he berates her for pointing the blame at him and not Max and Mark. This works, and she apologizes for misplacing the blame. Then she successfully gets out of a chokehold and elbows him in the face. She's like, I guess I understand now.
Yeah.
I know the moves.
That's what I needed. That's exactly what I needed.
They do that for another hour, and she wants to take a bath and go away. And she's like, go away. You don't need to watch. And Zayd says he doesn't need to be in the bathroom to watch her bathe. And then he said, don't forget to mow my name when you use the shower head to masturbate in the tub. Then he gives her a rose and leaves. I love the rose incidents.
The roses are my favorite in the world. I love them every second.
And she thinks about looking for a camera in the bathroom because she does want to masturbate and say Zayd's name in peace, but she's too tired. So he can watch in peace just this one time if it's in there. Silly. Meanwhile, on September 28th, 1945, Gigi told Ronaldo of John's increasingly terrible behavior and threatens to kill John.
Yeah.
Then Gigi yells at Ronaldo. Then Ronaldo says, you're taking his side. And then she's just getting tired of this impending violence and wants to protect her daughter. And she's crying a lot. And, you know, it's not good stuff.
Well, Gigi. Is it me?
Yeah, her story, you know.
Gigi, what are we going to do with you, Gigi?
The whole separate book it could be.
It could. It truly could. It should have, maybe, but that's fine.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. We've gotten 2 spinoffs from this series alone. I don't know if Gigi's going to get one.
So one spinoff is Sibby.
And one is Molly, and you're not going to know who Molly is.
Is that the second book? Okay.
Yeah. Chapter 27, The Manipulator, a.k.a. Adeline. Adeline jokes.
Oh, no. That was like the fourth word you said.
3 words in. It's absurd. Adeline jolts awake from a deep sleep when she hears a creak at her door. She sees Zayd standing on the balcony, quote, a red cherry pulsating in the moonlight. So
Dude.
he's smoking.
Yeah, she doesn't say that. She just says his damn red cherry.
That damn red cherry
Again.
pulsating in the moonlight.
So the imagery is amazing.
Amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Don't. He tells her he's been there for a while and he flicks his cigarette on the ground and she tells him to stop littering. I think that's important in the second book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll explain why.
All right.
It's not like important to the plot because nothing is important to the plot.
It just comes up again?
It just comes up.
Okay,
yeah.
that's interesting.
Zayd seems to be in a depressed mood, so Adeline invites him to sit down on her bed. She wrestles internally on whether or not she wants to help him, like emotionally, and she eventually gives in and she massages his neck.
Oh, yeah.
She inquires about his mood and he tells her that he was unable to save a young girl earlier that day. Though he arrived...
Did we hear about that?
No, I don't think he mentioned it.
That was just a different...
Yeah, he just had like a thing.
Off-page thing.
Yeah. And sometimes that happens. Like sometimes he'll have... Because he has these like raids and like of warehouses and saving girls like a lot.
Normally, yeah.
Quite a bit.
It's like a couple times a week.
Yeah, it's like a lot. Though he arrived on time to whatever warehouse they were at, the kidnappers killed the little girl before he could intervene because she wouldn't stop fighting and screaming, which is like a good thing, but also like a bad thing. Like
she fought
had to fight
for her life. Yeah.
But yeah, it's really sad.
Unfortunate.
Adeline tries to comfort Zayd by wrapping her legs around him and her arms around him, hugging him from the back, koala style.
I'm sorry. I think I
was trying to be serious.
I was thinking like that too, though. That's what it was like.
Well, she literally said I'm wrapped around him like a koala. She said that verbatim, pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
She tells him that dying isn't always the worst thing to happen to someone. Sometimes people can't or shouldn't have to live with trauma they were forced to endure. And now she's in a better place with no pain. And I have the page number. Sometimes writing down quotes is just far too much. So I have the page number because there was something I wanted to say, I'm sure. Okay, so he goes, you think it's a good thing that she died? And she goes, of course not. Being stolen from her life, her family and friends, and then being put into an incredibly horrendous and fucked up situation. It's the worst thing that could have happened to her. But dying is not Zayd. She was screaming because she was fighting against the life that she had been forced to endure the only way she knew how. It wasn't his right to end her life, but he did it anyways. And I hope he suffers for it. But after what they did to her, I know that she is more at peace now than she would have been alive.
Yeah. Sometimes dying isn't the worst thing that can happen to a person.
Yeah. I just thought that was a good quote. And
Good.
It's really hard because it's not like digital. So I have to like write, like I have to literally type it out. It's just like far too much for me physically.
Love that for you.
So just put the page number.
Beautiful.
I'm like, fuck this.
Problem solving.
But he cannot shake his mood. Adeline asks him to lay with her. Adeline thinks this is the right time, apparently, to make out, and she asks him to kiss her.
Oh, okay. She just feels so. She wants to fix him. He's sad. She wants to make him feel better.
Yeah. And she wants to take it further, but he stops her. And he says, the first time I fuck you, I want you to have all of me, not bits and pieces.
The first time that she's coming to him, he's like, no.
But I actually don't disagree with that, though.
Oh, yeah. His mood. I mean, his mind wasn't there.
Yeah. And
at the very least.
It's really sad. Yeah. She agrees, and then they laid together. I think for the rest of the night. I can't remember. Later, Adeline gets a phone call from her mother as she and Dea are getting ready for Satan's affair, which we talked about. This is my favorite part. This is my favorite part
of the book.
I'm obsessed.
It was just like
Satan's affair.
So crazy.
Her mother asked about Adeline and Dea's Thanksgiving plans, since her and Dea always split Thanksgiving between their respective families.
Yeah.
Which is so cute. They're like a little couple, and I'm obsessed with them.
I love that.
And Adeline starts asking about Gigi's murder, Mark Williams, and his father, Frank.
Yes.
And not Anne Frank.
Not Anne Frank.
After Adeline's mother starts getting annoyed and asks why Adeline wants to know about all these things, Adeline informs her mother that she met Mark, the son of Frank.
That's insane. Small world moment.
Right? Well, and Adeline's mother is like, this is crazy. How do you know him? Are you a sex worker?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. That's so funny.
So presumptuous.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not selling yourself to him, are you?
Yeah. Which this obviously hurts Adeline's feelings like greatly. Because she's like, how can my mother ever think so low of me?
Not that there's anything wrong with like sex work. I mean, like,
yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to like, Addie, come on.
Yeah, but I do get it though. Like,
from your own mother,
because coming from her mother, it's supposed to be an insult.
Yeah, the intention behind it.
The intention. Yeah, I agree.
Cruel.
But she tells Adeline that Frank was a good friend of Gigi and John and a sponge for their relationship whenever they had any problems. She remembers that Mark and Serafina, were friends until Gigi's murder. Sarah also told her about Frank tackling Gigi and saying something about betrayal one time.
Tackling?
Yeah.
Tackling her body?
Like a football tackle. No, I think he shoved her really hard.
Oh.
And like she fell to the ground. Gigi was like on the ground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he was like, some blah, 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 betrayal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This
is a betrayal. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was crazy.
That's all the info we have.
And that's all the info. Dea, so she hangs up with her mother, and Dea wonders why Adeline did not tell her mother about Zaid. And she asks Adeline what Zaid is planning with Mark Williams and whether Zaid is Z. But because Zaid requested that Adeline not say anything about any of that stuff.
I took that. I failed to mention that.
Yeah. So he did say like, please don't, go running out your mouth with your blah, blah, blah. Zip your lips like a padlock. And meet me in the back with a jack. No, sorry, Kesha. Adeline does not tell Dea anything. She just basically like, we didn't talk about it.
No, I don't know.
Apparently, I don't know. Later at Satan's affair, Adeline and Dea get food before entering the haunted houses because they're not open yet. They see a woman dressed as a doll devouring a Philly cheesesteak.
Good for her.
Adeline wonders if Zaid is there because I think they said that he said to her that I don't know. I don't know why she was wondering that. Well, because he stalks her. That's probably why.
Oh, yeah. He's like, is he here? I hate the way that they describe them eating because they mentioned her flat stomach 5 times in this book.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really annoying. But then she's like shoving food down her throat.
And her perfect apple bottom. Yeah. It's like whatever. And her giant tits.
We're going to move past it.
Her perfect giant tits.
Yeah. Fuck her. Honestly.
When the haunted houses turn on, when they're ready to go, her and Dea run to one of the haunted houses in order to go through. Because there's like a bunch of them.
It's like when the gates open.
Yeah. They're like running, booking into the line. And she runs into Mark when they're in line.
Shit.
Right? And Mark is there with 3 men that Zaid had mentioned, Jack, Robert, and Ben, and also his wife, Claire.
And fellow senators.
Fellow senators. They're all important. They were all in the original video that Zaid had gotten of the sacrifice 9 months ago, which had prompted Zaid to move to Seattle and therefore meet Adeline and stalk her and assault her.
Great summary. Also, I think it's so funny to think like these senators are in their 80s, I think.
Yeah, they're old.
They
keep saying stuff like that.
Going through
the haunted houses
together. It's so funny. funny.
That actually is hilarious, and I never thought about that, and that's so funny.
It's such an image. It's just not a thing that would ever happen.
Well, Adeline makes small talk with them, telling them that Zaid just went out to the bathroom to distract them until she and Dea can get into the house.
Very smart.
Once they do, they are chased through the haunted house by, monster / haunted house workers.
Yeah, maybe.
No one crazy like Sibby. Probably, but diary entry dated October 13th, 1945. Frank confronted Gigi about the affair, and he told her she needed to put a stop to it. But apparently the D is too good because Gigi is definitely not going to stop seeing Ronaldo. And that's exactly what she told Frank.
The D is too good.
Yeah. She's thinking about looking into divorce from John because she's married to John, not Frank.
Right.
Why
Frank
is Frank
so
even in the business?
He's so concerned.
Stay in your own lane, Frank. Chapter 28, The Shadow. Zaid watches Mark at Satan's affair as Mark stares at a girl dressed as a broken doll, and the girl stares right back.
Love her.
They're looking at each other like they're wanting to eat each other's Philly cheesesteaks.
That was good.
Num num num. Zaid is disgusted because it's right next to Claire, and Claire is looking at the girl like she's worried for her.
Oh, interesting.
When the girl runs into the haunted house, Mark checks her out and then makes a phone call.
Not good.
Not good. Zaid checks in with the group of agents that he has watching over Satan's affair to make sure that no one in the night gets taken, because that's why the senators are there.
Yeah.
They're there to scout, and then they have men there, so they'll make phone calls, they'll take pictures, and then whoever they decide, the men will go and take those specific people to be put into
a van,
an unmarked van, and then sent into the skin trade, is what they call it.
Crazy.
So it's like a big deal. And Jay is there doing his hacker skills that aren't as good as Zaid's.
He's there at Satan's Fair?
No,
he's at home. He's working from home.
He has a drone over.
Oh, that's right, because there's no cameras at Satan's Fair because they're just like a traveling fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He tells them that he has eyes on all 4 of the senators that they were targeting tonight. Zaid sees Mark greet Adeline and Dea in the line of the haunted house, introducing them to his associates. Zaid is stressed.
He's like, fuck.
I can't stress this enough. He is stressed.
He's sweating.
Because Adeline, first and foremost, is always a distraction for him, because every time he sees her, his pants tighten with the with a need of lust, and he's got a tent in his pants. And also,
his khakis tent.
Yeah, and also he did not want Mark and Adeline to have any contact during this event, knowing that Adeline is in Mark's sights. After Adeline and Dea go into the house, Zaid runs up and greets Mark. He has a quick conversation with them to distract them, and then goes to follow Adeline and Dea into the haunted house. He follows behind them 10 feet-ish for a bit, but then decides he's just going to go to the exit to meet them as they're leaving.
Yeah.
But the girl dressed as a broken doll stops him, accusing him of preying on women. Zaid is amused that the girl has misidentified him as a predator in the house, and he fights her off because the girl literally is like,
she clocked his ass.
She clocked his ass, has a knife, and is trying to physically fight him.
It's crazy.
And she's a good fighter. Zaid notes this,
yeah,
but not as good as
he's
him.
laughing. He's like, wow, you're putting up a fight, but not against me.
You're nothing. I'm a god.
Yeah.
Okay. No one could ever beat me. See these scars? Anyways, once Zaid gets away from the girl, he finds himself in a hallway near Mark's group. The group talks about how they will kidnap Adeline and Dea. And Mark at some point says that Zach/Zaid is not a threat to him. Quote, he got those scars because he was weak, Robert.
Come on.
You know what Zaid says? Do you know what Zaid says?
What?
You know how old these scars are, Mark? Very old. My opponent was a formidable one. But do you want to know who ended up on the floor with their throat slashed and holes where their eyeballs used to be? Certainly wasn't me, fucker.
Ugh. Do you think he carved his eyeballs out?
Probably.
With his fingers?
It seems like a Zaid thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably liked it.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would concur. As Zaid confronts the group, he is interrupted by the girl in the broken doll costume again, coming back to fight him.
She's
and
so funny.
And that's how it ends. That's how that chapter ends.
Really?
Literally.
Oh my gosh.
Because I remember being like, what the
how can you end it right there? Does it go back to Addie's POV? Oh my gosh.
Chapter 29, The Manipulator. Adeline and Dea finish their tour of the haunted houses without getting kidnapped, thank God.
Good for them.
Dea insists on taking a break before heading home. Quote, I think if I don't go sit the fuck down, I'm going to collapse. You'll have to peel me out of this mud. Adeline decides to go through the House of Mirrors before the fair closes, and she leaves Dea on a bench outside.
Yeah, like 30 minutes.
There's literally 30 minutes before.
It closes in 30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. Inside the house, Adeline walks slowly, focusing on the floor, with her arms held out around her to avoid walking into the mirrors. She gets lost very, very quickly. Yeah. You can picture it though, right?
Yeah, she's like, I walked into a few in my past. So.
In my day. Back in the day.
Back in the day.
So I learned how to walk like a child with my hands out. All of a sudden, she hears this agitating, grating voice. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't remember.
Abby Miller. You never seen Dance?
No.
It's a TikTok thing. She's like, and all of a sudden, I hear this agitating, grating voice.
What's
Okay,
up? Sorry, I don't
I'll
get the
go
reference.
kill myself.
Dang it.
And the voice says, where are you, little mouse?
Uh-oh.
He taunts her while she tries to hurry through the maze. When she sees his reflection in the mirror nearby, he tells her to run, and if he catches her, he fucks her. She does, but she quickly runs out of breath and gives up because running from Zaid is fucking hopeless.
Fruitless.
Yeah. Zaid appears behind her. His hot breath tickles her ear and she bites her lip. They make out for a bit, which makes her okay.
Trigger sex scene warning.
I can't. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this without laughing. I'm really nervous. They make out for a bit, which makes her pussy throb while they suck on each other's lips.
Oh my god, the way that they did fucking make out with each other.
They just suck on each other's
She's
lips
like,
the
he
whole
fucks
time.
me with my tongue, with his tongue, like in my mouth,
And then
like,
we suck
sucking
on
on my
each other's
tongue.
lips.
Like it's disgusting.
Adeline tried to stop him, saying that he's not going to fuck her. He says it's because she's afraid she'll like it too much. Out loud, she tries to deny this, but in her head, she knows it's the truth. He says to her at one point, so you're going to be a bad girl tonight, lie to my face and act like your pussy isn't aching to be filled with my cock, which we did previously establish that her pussy is throbbing. So he tells her he loves seeing her trapped like a little mouse and he feels at home being lost inside her. She's like, OMG, love? That's crazy.
Because he said, like, I love being inside you.
He loves seeing her trapped like a little mouse. She's like, that's, you love me? That's crazy.
Maybe you like misunderstood what he was saying.
No.
There.
She inevitably decides that maybe it'll be okay just this once. She asks him not to torture her, but he wouldn't be Zaid unless he said something like, poor little mouse, you're sadly mistaken if you thought I was going to make this anything but painful.
Oh, God.
Chapter 30, The Manipulator. That's just Zaid. He's such a fucking twat.
Are all the sex scenes from Addie's point of view?
No, not in the second book. Ooh. I don't know for sure, to be honest. I don't think so. Not in the second book for sure.
I feel like all the ones in the first are.
Yeah, probably the ones in the first.
Makes sense.
Adeline and Zaid have sex in the House of Mirrors, which we're going to break down.
All right, let's break it down.
Zaid undresses Adeline until she's completely naked. She's fearful that someone could walk in, but Zaid doesn't care. Then Adeline asks if he'd be okay if someone saw her naked, to which he replies, no, I would let them watch. I would let them watch me claim you as mine, own every inch of your body. They would watch my cock fill every one of your holes and then watch you cry because of how hard you came. And then I'd fucking kill them. My cock would still be wet from your cum as I slice their throats for even daring to look at what's mine.
Foul. Disgusting.
That is so unbelievably out of pocket. I can't.
I thought you were going to be like, I love that.
No, and she's just like, oh, checks out. And
yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's the Zaid that I know.
Yeah. As he's admiring her body, he tells her he's going to fuck her boobs soon. And then
he like cups her boobs like, gotta fuck
he's like, I'm going to
soon.
fuck these soon. And then she tells him to undress. And he tells her that if she wants that, she needs to take care of it herself. And I feel like this is a way of like him making sure that she can't use this as like, this was non-consensual. Like,
right.
If she undresses him.
He's like guiding her into consensual sex.
Yeah.
He's like, you can do it.
That way she couldn't ever say that this wasn't. Like if if she participates, in this one instance, then she's submitting to the idea of fucking him in a way.
Yeah. This is all he wants. He wants her to want it.
Yeah, exactly. So she does, and Adeline notes that Zaid is covered with tattoos and scars, and though she still has mixed feelings about having sex with her abuser, she's enjoying this moment. At one point, she pretends to run away from him so that he will chase her, and this is like a good thing.
Oh, it's fun.
This is like a fun thing.
It's fun and cute and sexy.
Yeah, it's like she antagonizes him by saying she's had sex with better men than him. And then she sucks his cock. It's very aggressive. She's like crying because he's ramming himself down her throat while he's threatening to kill every man she's ever slept with.
Oh my God. And he names them off, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He like knows them.
Every single man she's literally ever
insane.
had sex with. He lifts her up against the mirror with her legs around his waist and will only fuck her while she's, quote, spreading her pussy for him with her hands. He's very big and it hurts at first, but then they get into a rhythm and she likes looking at them in the mirror having sex.
She like looks, because you can see every single angle from where they're at.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
He makes her get down on her hands and knees and he lifts her up and eats her out. So like, do we picture this?
You just described it.
Okay, good. Then he bangs her from behind and she comes so hard she sees stars. After the two have sex, Adeline receives a phone call from Dea. Dea is freaking out because she's worried about Adeline.
She's like, where the fuck are you?
It's been like 2 hours.
It's been 2 hours.
And Zaid helps Adeline find her way out of the house after they both get dressed, obviously. When they part ways, Zaid kisses Adeline and tells her that he has a date with a crazy chick. And at first she kind of gets a little bit jealous.
Oh my God.
But then she's like
he's just saying shit.
Get me out of this right
now.
Yeah. And Adeline says that it was their last time and she will never let him touch her again. Noticing that it's been 2 hours since she initially went into the house of mirrors, Adeline rushes to Dea's car. And Dea, she's prepared to lie to Dea, but as soon as she gets in the car, Dea immediately notices that Adeline had sex.
Of course. She probably smelled it on her. Also, the park has been closed for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it's empty.
It's empty.
Like how did they, and the House of Mirrors was cleared of people and closed down. Oh my gosh.
I'm obsessed.
That's and how many times did Dea actually call her? Because she just like, oh, Dea's calling me. Like, where the fuck have you been?
I'm only going to call her when it hits the 2 hour mark.
Like, okay, it's been an hour and a half. It's like 1:30 a.m. I'm going to call her.
I probably should call her.
I'm going to see where she's at.
I should probably call her. Diary entry dated November 2nd, 1945. Gigi recounts telling Ronaldo that she wants to divorce John. She insists that Ronaldo needs to quit his job to provide a safe life for her and Sarah. And Ronaldo says that he cannot leave his boss, his mob boss.
Angelo. I can't leave my boss.
Yeah, I can't leave Mr. Salvatore. He also implies that John is also tied to Ronaldo's boss, which confuses Gigi. Gigi asserts that she will be a single mother if she needs to be.
Oh, damn. Get it, Gigi.
Gigi's like, I will do this on my fucking own.
I don't need
all
you.
Of you want to fuck with me right now. Chapter 31, The Shadow. Zaid goes to meet up with the girl in the broken doll costume, and the two form a temporary alliance.
Love that for them.
When she and Zaid ran into Mark and his associates, they knock out the 4 men and store them in another building at the fair.
Crazy. Like, how did you move buildings?
4 to 5. Well, and I don't know why, but I didn't write this down, but they did let Claire go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. They're like, we don't need you.
Yeah, because Zaid saw her as a victim.
I don't actually even remember her being in that scene, which is interesting.
Yeah, she was definitely there.
Yeah.
He let her go. He didn't feel like she needed to die because he felt like she was a victim of Mark's.
Yeah.
So she's been let go officially.
Okay.
But he did try to scare her into submission so that way she will never talk because obviously he can't be caught.
He used his powers of intimidation.
Yeah, because the only person that he can manipulate anyone he wants, but no one can manipulate Addie but him.
That's right.
So just quick
remember that. Yep.
Now that the fair is closed, Zaid and the girl return to the building to torture and kill the 4 men.
Okay, so it's like 1:30 a.m.
Yes.
Okay.
The girl's name is Sibby, and she acts as if there are other people in the house with her that will protect her.
Her henchman.
Yeah, her henchman. Zaid thinks that she's crazy and that she's seeing imaginary people, which she definitely is.
I thought the henchmen were real.
I did that first too. They're definitely not
another
real.
Zaid.
They're definitely not real.
No, they're not.
He teases Sibby about her being a demon slayer because the people she kills, she calls demons. Right? Zaid tells her that she can start the killing off, gesturing to the senators that are not Mark. So I think like Robert, Ben, and the other person.
Whatever.
She immediately stabs Mark and then switches over to Robert and starts stabbing him repeatedly until he's mush.
That's disgusting.
Which disturbs even Zayd.
Because she's a tiny little girl.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck is going on?
She's probably stabbed him like 115 times. And like from what I've heard from like true crime and TikTok, it takes a lot of energy to stab.
I was going to say your arms
that many
start to get tired.
Yeah.
And like, that's a lot of work physically.
And Sibby's like, that's light work.
Yeah. Whoa.
It's crazy. She's got
and there's got to be a lot of feelings behind that too. Just stab somebody 150 times.
Crime of passion. Torturing Mark, Zayd gets a confession regarding the rituals that the Ouroboros cult performs. The cult is called the Society.
Love that name.
And it seems that the Society runs the government from the shadows, using the blood ritual to gain power from cosmic deities called the Eternal Rebirth.
Yeah, which is like straight out of QAnon.
Is it actually?
Sounds like it.
All of this is like, I was like,
you've never heard anything like that before?
I mean, having an underground society running the government behind closed doors that also are the pedophilia ring makes like that is something I've heard before and makes a lot of sense.
Conspiracy theories out there.
A ritual where they bleed people dry for like cosmic forces is not something
I've heard that something like that before.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I can't be specific because I listen to a lot of podcasts, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It rings familiar.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's literally insane.
Okay, well, this is crazy too because remember how we've been blaming Zayd for everything that's been happening to Adeline, her being targeted by the society, whatever? Well, turns out Mark tells Zayd that the society had already targeted Adeline before Zayd ever met her, before Mark ever met her. And Zayd is furious and worried that Adeline might be kidnapped.
Yeah, because I think he doesn't really know. Like Mark said, he doesn't really know why she was targeted. Maybe because her beauty, maybe because she's an author, like whatever it
could
is.
be anything.
Yeah,
it could be literally anything. But
he knows that she was already on their radar. Yeah,
she was already
Just
targeted.
interesting.
Yeah, that chill. Like I had a chill to my core.
Yeah, because like she's just a normal person living her life, and she's targeted by these people who are going to fuck up
for
her life.
Literally no reason other than what existing. She's beautiful, existing.
Her appearance.
Yeah. Mark tells Zayd the names or code names of the people in the society that he knows, and he also reveals the location of their current base of operations, the Saviors Club. However, Mark tells Zayd that killing members of the society, aka him and the other senators, will force them to relocate, but Mark does not know where they will relocate to. They don't tell anyone that. They just send out a text when they relocate. Like, we're here now, you know? Zayd tortures Ben and Jack so that they will admit their sins, and then Sibby takes over killing them. And it's like brutal when Sibby takes over. Every time Sibby takes over.
Yeah, she's like a little machine that you have to restrain, and then when you let her go, she just goes.
She cannot be left alone. Mark tries to negotiate for his life, telling Zayd to pin the murders of the other 3 senators on Sibby. On Sibby. Zayd had already thought about pinning everything on Sibby, but doesn't love the idea. After all, she had been helpful to him, and she obviously has some mental problems.
Yeah, she is endearing towards him, and he's like, yeah, she would be a really easy scapegoat, but that doesn't feel good.
No.
Which is interesting.
After Zayd gets all the information from Mark, he plunges the knife into his pelvis / cock, and
we put a lot of emphasis on that.
Cock. He had no intention of allowing Mark to live.
No. Is that it?
That's all.
I am so shocked that the senators went out like that. That Mark went out like that. I thought he was going to be a bigger character or last a little longer, or longer at least.
I know.
And I was like, holy shit.
That's the one thing about this book that I kind of do love is that the author really does a really good job of like the characters you think are going to be big or not, and then the characters you don't think are going to be big come back and make it big.
It's like, the one that you medium suspect.
Exactly. For this one, it's the one that I least suspected.
Yeah, I did.
The head of the society is the person that I very least suspected. I had no suspicion.
They weren't on my radar. That's
not at all.
No. Chapter 32. Zayd. I didn't write it down. It's Zayd from Zayd's Beauty. Sibby and Zayd chop up the bodies together and load them into the trunk of Zayd's Mustang. He muses over the fact that there's a reason that Sibby is the way she is, and Zaid can't say the same thing for himself, which is interesting. The police show up for some reason. Do you know why they show up? I can't remember. Like,
I think maybe he called them.
oh, I don't remember.
Because he ends up pinning the murders on Sibby.
Yeah, but did he do that on purpose?
I think, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He definitely did it on purpose.
Oh, I thought because
here's the thing: if anyone catches wind, if the society catches wind, the senators were killed by Zaid.
Yeah,
they will blow up their underground operations.
Right,
and they said something about how they will literally blow up the place.
Like literally, yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Okay.
Right. So it's like if he blames it on Sibby, who is clearly unhinged and will kill just to kill,
then they'll stay put and everything will be fine.
Because it'll just be a coincidence.
Got it. All right. So the police show up and Sibby refuses to get in the car with Zaid, so he leaves without her. The cops chase him for 5 miles, but he loses them. But don't worry. He switches out his license plate with one of the spares that he keeps in his car, hopefully not in the trunk. Hopefully under the back seat.
Yeah.
Then he explains to us, the readers, how he probably won't get caught. He's like, there's 162 Mustangs registered in Seattle and blah, blah, blah. Like, it just went on and on and on.
It'll take a long time.
Like, don't worry, this plot hole is filled. All right.
This plot hole. Please chill.
In the end,
I've thought about this.
In the end, Sibby takes the fall. A little backstory on Sibby now. She was born into a cult. Her father, Leonard Dubois, who, according to Zaid, rivaled Jim Jones. He was the leader, and she killed him. Do you know who Jim Jones is?
I don't, but I'm sure it's a notorious cult leader.
Yeah, he was the one that gave everyone the poison to drink.
Poison.
The Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah. His mother took her own life via poison, which makes sense.
Yep.
And Sibby snapped and stabbed her father 153 times in his bed in the dead of night. That's a lot of stabbing.
And this comes back later.
Oh,
there's a reason there's a backstory to
I
this.
love that for Sibby.
You won't love it for Sibby. You won't love it.
I love that.
You might love it for Sibby.
I love that she fleshed out her story.
Yeah, but you won't love how it comes back.
Like, oh, okay. Interesting.
Well, not that we'll give the spoilers on that later.
Spoilers, okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, Sibby either works for Satan's affair or just follows it around and kills people that she decides are demons at every stop. And her count is around 50 people.
She works on with Satan's affair, but the thing that's crazy is it's kind of like truck drivers. Did you hear about that? There's like truck drivers that have killed like over 500 women.
I've heard of like
the serial killer truck driver.
Yeah, the I-75 killer or the I-95 killer or something like that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It
has to be easy for them to do it because then they just up and leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. She's really the perfect scapegoat, but that doesn't feel good. Zaid has taken a liking to her. She's endearing. Him and Jay think this incident will trigger the society to up and move, but it looks like they're deciding to stay, which makes sense later. Zaid calls Jay and confirms that Jay is keeping an eye on Addie as advised and nothing to report. All is quiet because he is 1 hour away from infiltrating the Saviors party or whatever.
Saviors Club.
He wasn't invited to this one. He just shows up.
So this is like, the Saviors Club is like a club that he was in when he originally met Mark. Okay. So the society where they do the rituals is like an underground faction of the society
at the club. Like playing poker and stuff.
Right, but it's not the same place. It's a different club called Saviors.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Eddie is in danger from the society and their self-defense lessons are about to ramp up. He's like, I gotta come up with some new routines.
Yeah.
It's been 3 days since the House of Mirrors, and it has been a challenge to stay away from Addie because the victims of the Saviors are more pressing. Quote, for now, I need to push Addie out of my head, but later tonight, I'll be pushing myself inside her so deeply, I'll be ingrained in every crevice inside her body. I hate that because all I can think about is like belly rolls. I'm like, that's a crevice. That's all I can think about.
No, he wants to be in every hole.
Ew.
Not in every literal crevice. Probably her ear hole. Shit.
No.
He thinks he owns everything.
Ugh. Okay. Now Zaid is in the valet line at the party and Jay is telling him the high profile guests that are there, including the president, which is funny. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, in Seattle. The president's in Seattle.
It's so funny.
It would make way more sense if this whole premise was in like New York.
It was on the East Coast.
Yeah. 100%.
Jay sees a beloved celebrity on the guest list and he's like, oh man, come on, not Mary Barker. Fuck. Which is like so relatable. Like whenever a celebrity comes out as like having done something horrible, we're like, oh man.
Why then?
It happens like every other week.
Literally, especially now.
Oh my God, yeah, it's really ramping up.
Really ramping up.
Zaid is using an earpiece, which he has to take out and put into a lead-lined pocket before going in, because if he's caught with it, he'll be shot on sight. So this is important info. He goes in and there's a zombie woman dancing on a pole completely naked. But don't worry, he doesn't look at her nakedness. He looks at her eyes. And that's how he knows she's all zonked out on drugs. So same old story here. There are Ouroboroses everywhere, and the theme of this party seems to be blood. All the decor is red. He quickly runs into Daniel Boveri, who is a lawyer for the president of the United States. And he's like, can you believe a little girl murdered and disposed of Mark and in company?
And Robert and Ben
Jonathan
and John.
whatever their names
are.
And Zaid plays along and uses Sibby's mental illness to his advantage and says how Sibby was talking about henchmen. He's like, yes, I guess I heard she was talking about henchmen or some shit. Like, she sounds like crazy. Dan and Zaid mingle for hours, and Dan asks if he's interested in being initiated into the club. And Zaid's like, oh shit, am I not already in? Like,
but he knows he's already in.
Yeah, he just wants info.
Yeah.
Dan laughs and says he needs to have an acquired taste and sell his soul to nothing as mundane as God, but to the eternal rebirth.
Yeah.
To prove that Zaid has the acquired taste, he shows Dan a picture of a 10-year-old girl during her rescue that happened 5 years ago, implying that he had had his fun with her. And we don't go into details, which is fine. But don't worry, she's deep in a safe house, and he asked her permission. So he covered all his bases
to use
with that
the
one.
Picture.
Yeah. Because she was just a victim that he had rescued 5 years ago.
Right.
And now she's taken care of.
He takes care of her. That's where some of his funds for Z are allocated to victims, like post rescue, to make sure that they have what they need.
Such a good guy.
He is a great guy.
He asks more questions about her, and Zaid answers satisfactorily enough that Dan invites him to the initiation ritual the following week. Zaid asks if it's safe, and Dan says, yeah. I mean, there was a video that leaked, but we are pretty sure that it's been taken care of. I would say like at least 65% sure that we got the mole. He was like not sure.
He was not sure. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't know why he's even opening his mouth.
No. The video was only up for 45 seconds before they pulled it down, but it was enough time for Z's team to download it. The internet is a scary place.
Not Z's team, Z.
Oh, sorry.
He's the best hacker in this organization.
Okay, so he just happened to be online at the 45 seconds.
I'm totally fucking with you.
That would have been funny.
I'm totally fucking with you.
Like, come on.
Because he taught everyone that works in this
That's true. So it was
and
him.
they're not nearly as good as him. And he's the one that caught it and he saw it.
God, he's so smart.
I know.
But Z says that he's in. Chapter 33, The Manipulator. Adeline sees a news report of the murders of the senators and that Sibby was the accused. And she's like, oh my God, that's the girl that I saw eating that, inhaling that cheesesteak.
The Philly cheesesteak.
Oh my God, Zaid fucked me in the House of Mirrors, then went and killed those men with this psycho chick. That's what he was talking about. She's stressing at the fact that Zaid kills people all the time. She's worried that the society will come after her next, and she's worried what he's going to do next. Kill the president? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Foreshadowing? I don't know. I haven't read the second book.
No, he doesn't kill the president, but he should, because he's a fucking pedophile.
I bet he is.
In this book, I'm not talking about anything related to our current president or current or future.
He's never named, right?
We are talking about a book, fictitious president. Please don't come at me, FBI, CIA, or anything in between.
Don't put us on a list.
Don't put us on a list.
H.G. Carlton on the list.
Oh my God.
Just kidding. She's like, oh my God, Zaid is a serial killer, and I need to end things with him. Like ASAP. But then she sees him outside her window with that damn red cherry blaring. That's so annoying. She tears apart the living room looking for her phone to call the police. But then Zaid is there plucking the phone from her hand, like pressing himself into her body.
Of course.
She's not giving in easy and telling him she doesn't want to do this anymore. She doesn't want this. You're a murderer. But that's meaningless. He starts to choke her and he says, quote, you don't want this, baby? You don't want to be full of my cock and discover a new religion every time I make you come? Annoying.
I would want that.
Oh my God.
This is starting to work on me personally.
Which I love for you. I love that. I think it's wonderful. Despite what her mind is telling her, her body is responding, but she gets angry, knees him in the balls, and takes off running into the woods, barefoot, and it's raining. She tries to run and hide, but of course, he catches her pretty quick, and he pins her to the ground, and he says, are you ready to be eaten? Because I think he's told her before, like, whenever
he eats her out, it tastes like Nirvana.
No, whenever she like disagree or like disobeys or is naughty, she gets eaten.
Oh yeah, he bites her clit.
Yeah,
yeah.
He tells her that the people he kills deserve it. They tried to kidnap you at Satan's affair. I saved you, and you need me to continue saving you.
Facts.
She thinks about all he says and admits it was never his fault that she was on the society's radar, and she can't get upset every time Zayd kills someone. And I guess he's not going anywhere, so I might as well just accept this.
And also, some people just fucking deserve to die.
Yeah.
Like pedophiles.
He's like, why do you think I should be confined to society's like beliefs that these people don't deserve to die or whatever, or go through the justice system, which is flawed and corrupt.
He's like, I've made my peace.
Think about it, Addie.
I've made my peace with the fact that I kill these people. I'm happy about it. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's something I can live with.
And I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
And she's just having trouble accepting
and
that.
You know what? I fucking agree.
I mean, yeah, it's fuck
if I were to
guys.
kill anyone, I've never, and I probably would never, more than likely, but if I were to kill anyone, if I had to have a choice, it'd be a pedophile.
For sure.
And I would not lose a wink of sleep. Not one wink. I'd sleep like a baby.
Yeah, it's...
no nightmares, no trauma.
Pedophiles are like true monsters and so scary.
Yeah, I agree.
They talk more about right and wrong, and Zayd asks if she thinks there's any redemption for him. And he says, quote, if my redemption resides somewhere within you, then I will spend the rest of my life searching for it inside of you.
I love that.
But I think it's a poorly written sentence.
Oh, okay.
He could have just said, I'll spend the rest of my life searching for it.
In you.
Of course, because it's within her. Yeah. You already established that.
I'm confused.
He said, if my redemption resides somewhere within you, then I will spend the rest of my life searching for it inside of you.
Well,
like it's just redundant.
It is redundant. He wants to emphasize that he's going to be inside her with his big fat cock.
Okay. All right. Good.
That he wants that emphasized.
Yeah,
he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's okay. I understand it. The dynamic here. I get it. But the voices inside her telling her that all this is wrong are becoming weightless. Even so, she still insists she doesn't want to have sex with him and that she will grow to hate it. He's still got her pinned to the ground. It's like it's literally raining on them. It's in her eyes. And she claims that she can make herself come harder than he can. And he's like, okay, prove it.
Uh-huh.
Chapter 34,
I love this
The Manipulator. This chapter is fucking funny.
I'm obsessed. I love this scene.
In the forest, Zayd rips her leggings off and flings them into the forest. And she's like, well, I'm not getting those back. And then he like rips her panties off. And so he destroys those. And he owes her so many articles of clothing at this point. And when he replaces them, it better be the same make and model. And he better not just give her the money that doesn't take any of the weight off her mental load.
That's so fair. But also he has the money. And obviously
he better fucking buy her the same thing.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. And in her size.
Yes.
Bitch. And if she's a tall, he better get her a tall.
Yeah. And he better know that and not ask her.
And he better know that and not even ask her. Because he has to know that.
He's already taken
He's a really good
pairs
hacker.
of her panties.
He's a really good hacker. He has to know
Just
her
go
size.
through her credit card statements.
Seriously.
He forces her to masturbate to see how hard she comes. And she thinks about arguing, but she realizes she doesn't want to. So she brings herself to completion. And with Zayd looming over her, she feels robbed like of a better orgasm. He asks if it's better. And she says yes. Like 3 times. And then she's like, no, it wasn't better.
Okay, fine. I'll tell you.
So he carries her out of the forest and like her legs are wrapped around his torso and arms around the neck.
And she's butt naked from the bottom half.
And she starts biting his neck, and wherever he was headed, he doesn't make it. And he fucks her against a tree. Like he's holding her up and her back is getting torn up by tree bark.
But she loves it.
Yeah, she's like,
the
my back
pain,
is like
the pleasure.
so sore right now.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's amazing. It's quick, and he speed walks right to Addie's car, and he's like, why can't we go inside, like, to my bedroom? It's like 35 more feet, and he's like, no time.
Because seriously, why can't
I would be much more comfortable in a bed.
couldn't
Like,
have made it
please,
inside.
for the love of God, take me
he
inside.
literally just released his load in her, and
yeah, it's like dribbling out of her,
made
running down her thighs.
35 more feet inside.
Like, he's ready to go against that fast.
Yeah,
She could have dried her off, made her comfortable.
right. But even like not like even just like right on the hardwood floor, right in front. Like he had to go to her car.
Right. That's insane. So they get in the back seat, and he tells her to bend herself over the center console. So her knees are on the back seat, and her hands are on the driver's seat and front passenger seat. And then Zayd takes the driver's side seatbelt and clips it into the passenger receptacle, and vice versa. And then Addie claims she can't move now or even look back at Zayd, and the seatbelt is cutting into her.
And they could have just gone inside.
We should try this.
No,
'Cause I can't imagine the seatbelts being clicked in will not constrict your movements at all. You can
not
just
like
you can
that.
like get up and like turn around,
Yeah,
and it will let you.
Okay, maybe we should try it. We
Like, I
should try
need to
it.
know.
Okay,
Then-
I'm in.
Okay,
You've convinced me.
we'll do it. He eats her out from behind, and she is a willing participant in this encounter. And they also talk about like him being a god and her being a goddess, and they're like equals to each other. And then he like the way that he settles himself behind her to like eat her out. He's like,
He just like wiggles in.
I can't bow for you now, but I will later.
Yeah.
And then he eats her out.
Well, my favorite thing is I don't know when they said it specifically. I thought it was in my chapter, but I didn't find it.
What?
But every time he eats her out, he tells her that he'll like be like, fucking Nirvana.
Yeah, he says Nirvana a lot.
Every time he eats her out, like that's what he says. He compares it to Nirvana.
Like,
and
inside
that
his head.
is like no out loud.
Oh, does he?
It becomes like a reoccurring thing, specifically in the second book too.
Oh my God, that's funny. I just think of the band Nirvana and oh my God, what's his name? Do you know?
No,
Fuck.
I'm not good with bands, but that is a thing. So I just love that because fucking Nirvana. I'm sure he says it in this part too, where he's like,
I think he does. Yeah. Fucking Nirvana. Fucking. It's disgusting. Honestly, I fucking hate it. Oh, but it's Kurt Cobain. That's all I can think about. And he was like either murdered or killed himself. So. That's all I can think about when I hear Nirvana.
Would we talk about that right now?
Because that's the band that he was in.
Yeah, that's fair. Sorry.
That's what it reminds me of. Anyways, at one point he asks how she feels, and she says confined. And he says, quote, "One day you will realize that you are not trapped in a prison. You are in my church where I am your God and you are my equal. I'm not a jail, little mouse. I am your sanctuary." Did that work on you?
No.
No, okay, good.
That wasn't great.
No,
I'll be
I was like,
honest.
I hate it.
I'm not a huge fan of that, but
it's like, don't
most of the
compare our
things-
sex life to like a religion. Like, I don't want that.
yeah, that one was a little cringe. Some of the stuff he says is really good, and I'm like, oh. Some of the stuff he says, I'm like, damn.
It's hot and cold.
Half the things he says give me the ick. Half the things he says makes me
50%.
excited.
Right.
Yeah, it's only 50% though.
Right.
He really just swings. Like he just takes shots and swings. Like it's not
Swings for the fences.
for the
He
fences
misses
every time he
50%
opens his
of the time.
mouth. Yeah, every
Yeah.
time. Every time.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Michael Scott.
She orgasms.
Good.
He flips her onto her back and fucks her missionary, I guess. And then he says, "Remember this moment, because next time I fuck you, you're going to be in love." And she's like, "No, I won't." And then he flips her around again, so she's riding him, and they both come. And internally, she realizes she probably loves him already.
She says, "No, I won't, because this isn't the only time you're gonna fuck me tonight."
But that doesn't make any sense, because like she could still fall in love with him by the next time they fuck.
That night?
Sure,
It depends on if she loves him right now.
she does.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but
I didn't get that.
This whole count mass thing is getting a little annoying to me. Like,
Count.
you know you love him.
Right.
Does it count? Cat and mouse.
Oh,
Cat
I was like,
mouse.
count mass. Oh like, I don't follow.
This whole
Shit, that sounded term I'm familiar with.
this whole cat and mouse thing is getting a little redundant.
It is getting old at this point.
It is getting a little annoying.
I didn't realize that that's what she meant. She's like, well, you're going to fuck me again later because it's like in a teasing way, like, I'm going to want this later. But I'm not gonna be, okay.
Like tonight, you're going to fuck me multiple times.
That's funny. I didn't get that. I was like, whatever.
I didn't get that.
Meanwhile, on February 3rd, 1946, Gigi finally tells an angry and aggressive John that she wants a divorce. And he says no one else can have her. And he owns her. And Gigi is scared.
Fuck you, John.
Yeah.
You're working my last nerves.
This whole story
First she loses you to the chips. And then she...
then the drink. And then the
drink. And then the boss. Then the mob bosses.
The mob bosses.
And then you want to sit here and act like you own her.
Yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you, John.
Get
why
out.
you don't trust a John. Sorry to the Johns out there.
Sorry if your name is John.
Sorry if your name is John.
I know a lot of Johns.
I do too, actually.
Sorry, Johns. Chapter 35, The Shadow. Zaid and Adeline are companionably... Fuck, I knew I was going to fuck that up. Zaid and Adeline are chilling on her bedroom balcony. They had fucked all night, but Zaid is upset because another video leaked last night. And he's bugging mostly because likely the ritual depicted in the video happened while he was chatting up Dan and the Saviors at the party, or at the Saviors party that he attended.
Right, because when they were at the Savior's party, Dan had blood on his jacket.
Yes, but he had a stain that was like a wet, like still wet stain on his jacket that Zaid had clocked. And he's like,
oh, that looks like blood. And but he couldn't have done anything though, because he didn't meet him until after he saw the stain.
Yeah, it had already happened.
But he still feels guilty.
Yeah, for sure. For like the rest of the book,
which is why he's a good guy.
Yeah, of course. And it's eating him up that happened and he couldn't save the victim. He even remembers like a stain on Dan's shirt that could have been blood from the ritual. Out of the blue, Addie asks Zaid if he thinks it's weird how similar theirs and Gigi and Ronaldo's situationships are. And they talk about how they could be reincarnated and destined to find each other, aka stalk and be stalked, in every lifetime.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That would be insane. Then a few minutes later, he says, quote, "The same souls colliding over and over until this planet decides to crumble and our souls have nowhere else to go."
Okay, I'm going to be honest. That's the most pretentious thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Sometimes the things that he says, this is the ick I get. It's so pretentious. Like, why are you talking like that?
Yeah, it's like where do you even come up with?
Talk like a real person. Yeah. Not like an AI.
Exactly. Like he typed it in the AI.
Literally. Yeah.
He's like, how do I tell her that we are reincarnated and have lived the same life over and over and over and over and over and over?
Unbelievably pretentious.
I do like the sentiment of like reincarnating souls finding each other in every lifetime.
Agree.
Okay.
But the way that he words it is unbelievably pretentious.
Yeah.
And there's so many times he sounds like that where he like wants to sound so philosophical and he just sounds like a fucking twat.
That's hilarious.
It's so unbelievably crazy.
And also I would hate to be in that loop.
Sounds like a nightmare blunt rotation in my opinion.
It does.
Addie and Zaid sounds like a nightmare blunt rotation.
Jesus, a nightmare blunt rotation.
Kill me.
Addie can sense something off about his mood, and he tells her he received shitty news the night before, and she's curious, but he says it involves my job and killing. And we already argued about that. You don't like that part of me.
No.
But she takes a deep breath and says she wants to know everything. He looks out toward the river, I think. I think her house is on a river. I don't think we've ever
like a sea
established
or
that.
Something. Like, Seattle. It's on the sea.
The Sound.
Seattle.
It's
on the sea.
Her house? That's
I don't know.
insane. I thought it was in the middle of the woods.
Wait, Seattle
river.
is on the sea. It's on the sea.
We talked about this in Uglies too.
No, that was San Diego.
The Sound. I mean, just because she lives in the Seattle doesn't mean she's on
it is on a river.
Okay.
It is on a river. I said that. It's on a river. It's on a river. But do you know what? The river leads out to sea.
Of course it does. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's basically seawater.
There could be sharks in it.
It's a river sea. Okay?
You gotta be careful.
There's definitely great whites.
It could be bull sharks.
Great whites.
Or megalodons.
Okay. Don't make it seem like my suggestion was that far out of.
No, it's not. I'm saying, I mean, it could.
No, it couldn't be megalodons.
No, of course not. But there could be bull sharks.
And great whites.
Yeah, they could fly up there. I mean, swim. They wouldn't like it because it does get fresher and fresher the more they go in. Anyways, oh my God. Okay.
I don't know how that works, to be honest. That's a lot of geography.
And animal husbandry.
Husbandry? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Like,
animal husbandry?
yeah, like when the
Isn't that
different
just like
care
when people are married?
No. It's like the different things that different animals require for survival.
Husbandry?
Yeah.
Does that mean more than one thing?
It must. It simply must.
It simply must. I fear.
I took a class called Animal Husbandry, and you know how like reptiles require like different temperatures and humidities, which is different from other animals. That's husbandry.
I took a class about tornadoes and volcanoes.
Did you?
No, earthquakes and volcanoes.
Oh. Tornadoes are still
tornadoes are cool though.
Elusive.
/F5. That's the biggest one.
Yeah. Okay. That's what you took away from the class.
That wasn't in the class because there were no tornadoes.
That later in life.
No, I was obsessed with tornadoes as a youth. And Yellowstone National Park.
The earthquake that's underneath it. Just waiting to quake.
Yeah.
The tectonic plates.
It's waiting to quake.
No, that is really scary though.
It's a super volcano.
Oh my God, that's so scary.
Hold on. It's like underground layer. It's not
the volcano's underground layer.
It's not scientifically called an underground layer, but I can't remember what it's called. And its underground layer is like long, like miles.
That's insane.
If it goes up, like
it's
the whole world
overdue.
is.
Yeah,
it's overdue.
That's so scary. Don't look into it. Don't scare yourself.
Look into it. I've been scared since I was a child.
I'm just continuously scared.
But honestly, if that's what takes me out, that's what takes me out.
Yeah, I like to think I would like to go out in like a worldwide event that takes a lot of people out. I think that brings me comfort.
As long as it's not drowning or burning, I'm fine.
Yeah, you would just starve to death from the. Anyways.
No. You'd get blasted from Kingdom Come.
I think from this far out, we would just die from like.
This far out, we would suffocate probably.
Yeah.
No,
it would be and stuff.
No, you're right. It would be starvation because of the
sun would.
This far out, it would be suffocation.
Yeah.
I was thinking as if I lived in Colorado.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on.
I can't.
He looks out over the Sound, which is a river in Seattle, and thinks the view is mundane, despite its beauty, because, quote, everything is mundane when Addie is present. And at first I thought that meant she made things mundane, but then I realized she's so amazing that it dulls things around her.
Oh, come on. You knew that on the
Which
first
has
read.
to be hard to live with as someone so amazing. No, but I really didn't. Some of the sentences are written like... The sentence structure is just so bad that I have to reread it. I'm like, I'm reading it in one like instance. I'm like, wait, that's not how it's supposed to be read, and it takes me like a while to go through it.
Maybe as someone who got a B- in writing and reading, in a B- because I really had to try hard, and if I didn't get it above a C, I couldn't play volleyball. I feel like it was fine for me. I got it.
Which I think is fair.
Yeah.
But I struggled through some of the sentences just weren't.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
making sense until I reread them like 3 times. Anyways, but he tells her how he targets bad people and about the ritual video and about his infiltration the night before and the ritual that probably happened while he was there and his guilt and his plans to eradicate pedophilia in the United States. She asks what led him to this. Like, why did you choose this career path? And he said, because I want to, baby. That's a quote. And why do I stalk you, you may ask? Because I want to. That's scary because what if one day he decides he wants to cut off Addie's left hand? He would justify it to himself by saying that he wanted to. And he would manipulate
he would never
her.
Let anyone hurt Addie, even himself.
He would manipulate her into believing that it was okay.
No.
Not our Zaid.
Not my Zaid.
He tells her his childhood was normal. Parents were great, and then they hydroplaned off a cliff and died when he was 17. And he got his scars from a ringleader during his very first infiltration. And he learned after that like how to, he was like, shit, I gotta really like train harder.
I have to actually train at all.
Yeah. I just actually
I don't think he had any
defend
training
myself.
before that. I don't think he had any training before that
he just
at
went
all.
in.
He just, and then he started going to kickboxing classes.
Oh my gosh. But he likes his scars because it makes him proud of himself for how far he's come or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I don't know.
He's like, I've said this to you, he's like Nesta. He trained for 6 months.
Oh yeah,
at a boot camp.
She killed it.
And now he can beat anyone and anywhere, anything. And he has a shot like a fucking Navy SEAL or like someone in MI6.
Amazing aim. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says, why the roses? His mother's favorite flower was roses, and they were all over the house all the time. And he wanted Addie to be surrounded by roses, maybe because she feels like home to him. And then one day he expressed that he would be like sad when his mom died because then the roses would be gone. So she gave him a plastic rose and told him that she would always be with him, even when she dies, along with all the real roses. But this one will never die.
Oh.
Which is like a sweet sentiment, but like, and then you leave roses, you like throw bloody roses at Addie after you rape her. Like, that's insane. Like, that doesn't correlate in my mind.
No, I see what you're saying. No,
so,
yeah,
okay.
no.
They share a kiss and are interrupted by Dea. She walks in on them. She tries to attack Zayd like physically, which I love so much. But Zayd keeps his cool and makes jokes. And she looks at Addie and says, I thought we hated him? ? And Addie says nothing. She zips her lips. And Dea opens her mouth to continue to berate Zayd. And he says, quote, careful what you say. I do sign your paychecks. Ooh. Is that a metaphor? Does he use a payroll company? And does he have an LLC? Does he pay taxes?
Do
Does
they pay
Dea?
taxes?
How can they?
Do they pay taxes?
Somebody fucking fill in this pothole for me.
Taxes. Every other pothole is filled in except for this one. They make a point to fill in every other pothole
Like
except for this one.
Paragraphs and paragraphs of explanations.
But except for the taxes question.
I need to know. But Dea is shocked to learn that he is Z, which is her boss. She's upset that Addie hid this information from her. Zayd tells Adeline that she can tell Dea whatever she thinks is important, that he trusts her judgment, and he leaves to deal with his ritual situation. Chapter 36, The Manipulator. Adeline is feeling guilty for not being as open as she could with Dea about what she knew about Zayd. She tells her about Zayd's current mission with the rituals and how they were almost kidnapped right out of Satan's affair, and they take a couple of shots of vodka to cope. Addie apologizes for not being more open, and she says she didn't even know how to process all that has been happening, which is, I think, fair.
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain something that you don't even understand yourself?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I would still be hurt if I was Dea, though.
Yeah, it's all very fair.
Yeah.
Dea does not understand this relationship, but she's not mad. She's actually a little relieved that Z, like the big Z, is out here protecting Addie.
Yeah.
Dea forgives her. It was a nice scene. They talked it out. It was actually very mature. I loved it.
Dea is a queen.
Yeah.
A queen.
Does she stay a queen in part 2?
She's a queen from beginning, middle to
through
end.
and through. Love her.
I love Dea.
Adeline asks if she's heard anything from Max, and she hasn't, not since the restaurant incident. Maybe Zayd's intimidations work on him. I don't know. And, we won't by the end of the book.
We will know if it works.
Book 2.
Mm-hmm. End of book 1. End of book 1. TBC, to be continued. They inspect a weird, out-of-place envelope with no return address that's on the counter, and in it is a thick stack of papers and photographs from the 40s of Gigi and a man neither of them recognize. The man is predominant in the photos with Gigi, but she looks uncomfortable. And there's an unsigned love letter to Gigi where this man confesses his love for her, and he feels betrayed that she's cheating on her husband with someone that's not him. They reverse Google image searches the pics and finds out that it's Frank, Mark's father. They keep coming back. Frank. Could he be the killer? I don't know. It's not enough evidence. Still could be Ronaldo, who, by the way, Dea found out that Ronaldo died of a broken heart in 1947. So, like, shortly after Gigi was killed, he died of a broken heart. That checks out.
I fucking have feelings about that. I think it's funny. Addie's like, our next move. We need to go to the attic. Neither are thrilled due to the demonic presence in the attic, but whatever.
Yeah, because there is a demon up there.
They're immediately briefly haunted when they go to the attic, And Addie starts pressing on the walls, hoping to find a loose panel. And she does, like almost immediately.
Of course.
She finds something and they like run out due to the haunting that's up there and discover that she found a plastic bag and inside is blood, a watch, and a note that says, "Hide this. No one can know I did it. Remember that." Dea can send the blood out to get tested, which like the blood is just on the bag. It's just like inside the bag.
And on the watch, I thought.
A little bit, but it was like mostly in the bag.
Was it mostly in the bag?
Because I wrote down bloody watch at first. And then I went back and it was like the blood was just on the bag.
Oh my God.
Dea, so she can send the blood out to get tested and the watch to someone else to get the serial number read and identified because she has, she's a hacker. She has connections.
Right.
Addie then recognized that Frank from the pictures is wearing a similar, if not the same watch. Now they just have to prove it. Meanwhile, on May 8th, 1946, Gigi can feel that she's going to die soon and that, quote, he's coming for her. And also, like, what's going to happen to Sarah after that happens?
Seraphina.
Not the Seraphim from Ekatar.
Not the Seraphim from Ekatar.
All right, chapter 37, The Shadow. Trigger warning for child sex trafficking. Nothing happens, but there are explicit details of their intentions.
Yeah, it's
with
bad.
A 6-year-old girl.
Is this the dinner party?
This is the appetizer.
Okay.
Party.
I think she's 5.
He said no older than 6, so around there. Zaid is trying to convince himself he couldn't have done anything about that ritual that he's still berating himself about. And Jay is no good at the comforting thing, and they're on the phone. Then he gets a call from Dan who wants to know if Zaid is available for a test run / appetizer / rehearsal dinner on Friday night to make sure Saturday goes smoothly. It's the society's way of testing Zaid's intentions and loyalties. Zaid asks, what's the purpose? And Dan tells him that they have a meal that resembles Zaid's preferred meals at home, meaning they found a similar girl to the one in the picture that Zaid showed Dan at the Savior's party. And Zaid is sick to his stomach, but he agrees to the dinner. All right, it's 2 days later. Zaid is talking to Jay, and Jay confirms that Addie is being watched around the clock because Zaid is still worried that she's going to get kidnapped. It's like for 13 chapters now. They're like,
well,
I know.
Well,
like, this isn't going to come out of nowhere, okay?
Yeah.
They're both in Zaid's bedroom, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I think he's like getting ready, like straightening his tie. And there's a moment where Jay asks about the plastic rose and Zaid tells him, and it was a weird moment. They both shut up after that. Zaid is outfitted with 2 guns, an earpiece, of course, and a watch with a teeny tiny button that he had installed that when pressed will create an unknown diversion that will hopefully give him enough time to get the child out safely. And I'm like, what the fuck kind of diversion is that button going to create? I'm so intrigued.
Right. No, that's fair.
Yeah. Through the cameras he's already hacked, he can see that the guests that are arriving at this party aren't getting patted down or searched by security, which oversight? Or on purpose?
On purpose. I feel like
in hindsight, it's on purpose.
It's definitely on purpose, and I don't feel like it's because of hindsight. I feel like it's
in hindsight, having read the rest of the book.
Sure. I still don't feel like it's on purpose because people with this much power and this much like they
narcissistic.
they're narcissistic. They have so much power. They don't think anything can touch them.
They're untouchable. Yeah, they think they're untouchable.
Yeah.
It's so scary.
So they're not worried about anything. Yeah.
Jay throws shade towards Zaid about his stalking Addie. Zaid said again, you better keep your eyes on her. And Jay said, quote, do you think she'll like it when I stalk her too? And then when Zaid threatens his dick, Jay is like, relax. I like my women willing. What the fuck? That's so
I am obsessed with Jay.
I do like Jay.
Jay would be my guy personally.
And he's like a tall, nerdy kid.
Yeah, and he like paints his fingernails.
Oh, a different color every time he sees them.
Every single time because he types so much that they chip really easily.
Yeah. And he likes the clacking of the keyboard, even though it pisses Zaid off, but it gives him like comfort. So Zaid is okay with it.
Yeah, I love Jay.
I do love a clacking keyboard.
Yeah.
When I'm the clacker.
When I'm the clacker.
At Dan's house, Zaid is greeted like an old friend and led into the dining room that has a 20-foot long table set for like 20 people. And in the middle is empty of any centerpieces. It's just an empty table. Dan says he's excited for Zaid to see tonight's appetizer and to give thanks to the eternal rebirth. And Zayd tries to ask what exactly that means. And Dad only ever says things like, you'll see, and don't want to ruin the surprise, which I appreciate, like the lack of details. That's totally fine. I don't
being
care.
sarcastic?
No.
No.
Like, I don't want to know what you're going to do.
That's fair.
Everyone seated at the table is at ease. Then, 5 minutes later, an older man walks out of the kitchen hand in hand with a 5 to 6 year old little girl. And he says, quote, ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served. And I wish him an unimaginable death.
Yeah.
That was me. And yeah, then that's where I live off.
Yeah, I agree. I fucking hate pedophiles.
This part. Yeah. And this part, I am more interested in how Zayd is like infiltrating these things and what he's going to do. And then when he goes back and has sex with Addie, I'm like, blah, blah, blah.
It is,
like,
it is, yeah, it is interesting how he infiltrates the rings,
it's like
but it's also very fucking hard to read. Like, as soon as I heard that she was 5 to 6 years old, dude, I'm like looking at my daughter and I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's got to be so much different being a mom.
It's just, it's,
because I hear that it hits harder once you have a kid.
It's torture. Yeah. It literally feels like torture.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Chapter 38, The Manipulator. Dea and Adeline are sitting around the island of Adeline's house, going over all the information that they have about Gigi's murder. They're also wondering who in the heck sent the letter with the pictures and the, love letter.
Yeah, it just like showed up on her
doorstep.
Yeah.
Or like right on her island. Like, it was so strange.
In her house. Under no stamp.
Mysterious circumstances.
The clairvoyant UPS guy did not
clairvoyant UPS guy.
He did not deliver.
He didn't deliver that. He didn't deliver the hands. He ain't delivering shit.
Only books.
The only books. They got a call with the results of the blood on the watch. And the blood on the watch matches Gigi. Oh. Isn't that crazy? Dea had previously emailed her colleague to see if they could figure out how to decipher the serial number on the watch so they could figure out who it belonged to.
Right.
And he had responded via email and the watch belongs to Frank.
Oh my gosh. Confirmation.
And the handwriting to the love letter confession thing also matched Frank's.
Yeah, and she had sent that out without telling Addie, which is like
not that.
Oh,
not
it was something else.
So Adeline knew about that one, leading Dea and Adeline to conclude that Frank killed Gigi out of jealousy. Dea also tells Adeline that wasn't the only note that she sent in. She also sent in the confession note that confessed that they were complicit in covering up the murder of Gigi that they found in the attic like a long time ago. Like, yeah. I did it. It was me.
Right.
I did it. Right.
Yeah.
And Dea was nervous to tell Adeline because she wanted to get the results first, so Adeline wouldn't be upset about who she thought might be the person to cover up the murder. She tested the confession note against John and Sarah's handwriting, and it seems that Adeline's grandmother, Serafina,
the one and only,
covered up the murder.
Oh my gosh.
Adeline is distraught, and she remembers comments about her grandmother that she had made throughout her childhood, expressing how tired she was and how in need she was of peace. She's like, yeah, this checks out.
Yeah, that's so sad, I think.
Yeah, she realizes that her grandmother felt guilt, so much guilt. After Dea leaves, Adeline drinks like a lot of alcohol. She just takes shots of alcohol.
Chugging it.
And she settles into her bed, and she feels sad that the mystery of Gigi's death is solved, especially considering the involvement of her grandmother. She thinks about Zayd and how she wishes that he was there. And then she... Sorry.
This part, it's crazy. It's like, what a turn.
And then she starts to masturbate while thinking about him.
She's just like depressed about her grandmother's murder.
And she starts to literally start masturbating. And
her matching white panties.
And her matching white panties said that she was like, Zayd would love this because I look so like angelic compared to his like devil nature. But after she, comes, she feels hollow and sad. Meanwhile, diary entry dated May 18th, 1946. Gigi is convinced that she is going to be killed by a man that she trusts. She comments that she pled with him to spare her because she has a child that needs her. She says that she's upset by this because she used to trust him. Chapter 39, The Shadow. At Dan's house, we were at Dan's house.
Yeah, we're with Zayd now.
Yeah. Zaid is doing his best to navigate how to get this young girl, who is, by the way, 5 to 6 years old, out safely. Ugh. He insists that they should have fun. Sorry, this part is horrible.
Yeah.
That they should have fun with her first, because that's half the fun before they sacrifice her.
Right, before they do whatever they're going to do, yeah.
Which is probably to sacrifice her. Ugh,
right.
It's so sick. He puts her on his lap and whispers in her ear that she'll be safe and to keep quiet. And he does, and she does listen to him, and she does
trust him.
Trust him in that moment to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Dan tries to touch Sarah, which is the little girl's name, and Zaid grabs his hand and acts like he's possessive of her.
Yeah,
when
in reality, I don't share.
Yeah,
which he already established that he doesn't share.
Which he has to Mark, not to Dan.
Oh.
No,
yeah.
No, he did to Dan when he showed the picture. Yeah, that's
Daniela
right.
was her name.
When in reality, he just wants to keep the little girl safe. Mm-hmm. Zaid presses an alarm on his watch in this moment and initiates a fake...
The button.
Yeah, the button. And initiates a fake FBI raid on Dan's house, causing the guests to yell, and then all of them basically try to flee. Zaid takes Sarah out of the kitchen and into the backyard, where he hands her off to Ruby, who we've met before.
Yeah,
he, helps.
She's the the get out girl.
She's the girl, yeah, that takes on the survivors and kind of helps
keep them safe and rehabilitate, or
and also, yeah, like make them feel comfortable.
Yeah,
because they've
like
probably been abused by men, and it's probably comforting to be in the hands of a woman.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's just all horrible.
It is.
Sarah is hesitant at first to go with Ruby, and after Zaid reassures her she'll be safe, Sarah asks Zaid if he will adopt her if her parents are dead, because she's not sure if her parents are alive.
I think that's just crazy.
Zaid considers it.
I know.
He does. But he will need to ask Adeline first. After all, she will be the mother.
Yeah. She's like, are my parents alive? And he's like, I don't really know. She's like, well, will you be my new daddy if so? If
and
not?
he's like, you know what? Actually, maybe, but I have to talk to Adeline first, because she'll be the mom.
That is just such a fucking crazy element to throw into the Slate in the Bug.
And it doesn't really come back. It kind of like it does for half a second, but I don't think they ever adopt her.
Oh my gosh.
No. Once Sarah is safe, a fake FBI agent arrests Zaid, pulling him past Dan. Dan is relieved to see that Zaid is also being arrested, and he even attempts to defend Zaid, insisting that he is not involved in any of Dan's dealings.
Interesting.
Zaid's plan is for Dan to be let go the next day, knowing that Dan will fire the fake FBI agents that Zaid hired for this plan.
How is Zaid going to fire FBI agents?
No, that Dan will want to fire the FBI agents.
How is Dan going to fire FBI agents?
Because he's a high-profile person. He'll just ask the FBI to fire the people that raided their house. But all of the people that raided the house were fake.
Oh, I thought there was a couple real ones.
No, there were no real ones. All of them were fake.
I thought Zaid had said that he had like 2 connections or something. Oh,
no, okay. He had connections in the FBI to where he could plant fake FBI agents, but everyone that came to raid Dan's house was fake.
They were actors.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of the actors that were in this end up coming back in the second book.
I love that.
Yeah.
Recurring characters, baby.
Chapter 40, The Shadow. Zaid comes to Adeline's room while she's sleeping. He thinks about how he's never been a needy person, but Adeline has changed everything. Because she's like snoring.
He loves that her snoring.
Because he thinks it's funny that she's snoring and drooling in her bed.
Like, that's normal though.
Yeah. He gets into bed next to her, happy to take off the suit he was wearing at Dan's house. He notices that she wore a white silky underwear set, and it nearly sent him to his knees. I know. After Zaid and Dan were arrested, the fake FBI agents separated them and let Zaid leave. Zaid suspects that Adeline was drinking because she's like drooling and she didn't wake up for him, basically.
Yeah, he usually wakes up, I know.
And he wakes her up by pressing himself against her. She asks him what his tattoo, like once she's awake, she asks... Okay, hold on, sorry.
By the way, what's your tattoos about?
Once she's awake, she asks him about his tattoos and if they mean anything. And he replies the most pretentious answer in the world.
I fucking hate this. This is so stupid.
This is what I'm saying when I say he's so fucking pretentious. It's sick sometimes.
Okay.
Ready. My body is just a vessel that my soul inhabits, attached to a shell that it'll one day leave. And when that day comes, I won't care to let that shell go. I carry my body around because I have to, not because it's a choice. But when I possess something meaningful, I'm choosing to hold on to it. Carrying something meaningful in my skin is effortless. But holding on to something that I could lose, that takes devotion.
That's fucking stupid.
It's just so fucking pretentious. Like, stop being a little pretentious fucking asswipe and answer a real fucking answer that anyone would answer in their daily lives. Just say, I don't know. It just doesn't like mean anything. You know what I mean? Who answers like that?
Your tattoos are allowed to mean something, Zayd. It's okay.
But it's not even about that. Even if they don't mean anything, like, you don't have to answer like, my body is a shell. And
yeah, he's like, no. My tattoos actually don't mean anything. I just wanted them.
He's so fucking
Which would have been fine.
It's sick. It's sick.
Sickening.
Then he tells her he possesses her and that that it takes all of his devotion to do so.
Aww.
That's really cute.
No sarcasm.
She lays on top of him, straddling him, and he decides it's time for them to have some sex.
Oh, again?
Sex. Nirvana or whatever. So he tells her to sit on his cock now. She hesitates for a moment, but then she lifts up and she pulls her panties to the side, bearing herself to him, but she hovers over his cock to tease him. He tells her that she has 5 seconds, but she shushes him and calls him baby, which shuts him up real quick.
He's like, oh shit, a pet name?
Then she drops her meat taco down on his wiener before he can do anything else.
I'm in the scene. I'm in.
They get into it for a second, but then he looks at her and he tells her to run.
Wait.
She
She sits on his cock.
She sits her meat taco down on his wiener.
And then he's like, run.
And then he's like, he looks at her because she's having a hard time fitting. And he looks at her and he's like, run. And she's like, she pops up and runs down the stairs with Zayd tight on her heels. She runs into the sunroom and he asks if she's trying to relive a favorite memory. And then he calls her naughty girl.
The gun scene?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I thought he meant
Archie. Yeah. He catches her in the sunroom and puts her on her back, and he gives her only a moment before he drives into her tight heat, which is a direct quote.
Fucking hate it.
They bang until they both see stars. The next day, Zayd tells Adeline that he is going to resolve the ritual issue that night. He plans to extract the child that the society intends to sacrifice and end their ring.
Yeah.
And in addition, sex trafficking in the U.S. I'm just joking. He tells Adeline about Sarah, the girl that he saved from Dan's house, and he comments that she asked Zayd to adopt her. Adeline is worried, but Zayd tells her that he would never adopt a child without Adeline's agreement, as she would be the girl's mother.
Yeah. And she's like, why do you have to have my permission?
And he's like, because
well,
you're literally
you
mom.
will be the mom.
You're hashtag mommy.
She did say mommy too. I hate that.
I'm gonna throw up. Chapter 41, The Shadow. Zayd goes back to Saviors unarmed. He says some of the security guards in the club are working for him and can give him a gun if and when it's needed. Because he doesn't have any weapons.
Wait, he's going to the Saviors, right?
Yep.
To infiltrate the ritual that he had been invited to.
Right.
And some of the guards that the Saviors had hired are working for him. Got it.
Yeah. And they will hand him a gun when and if it's needed. Yeah.
Don't you worry.
He meets Dan, who apologizes for the raid on his own house, obviously. And Zayd asks what happened to the girl, meaning Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
And Dan suspects that one of the guests took her for themselves. Zayd pretends to be upset. He's like, gosh darn.
Oh, man.
And he asks Dan who could have done it. Dan says he does not know, but he will tell Zayd if he finds out. So that way
Does
Zayd
that come back?
No.
Oh.
No.
I thought you were telling me.
None of this matters. They have to converse for a couple hours before the ritual starts.
Wait, I have to say something really quick.
What?
Mark says that when the girl was gone, he's like, that's $90,000 in the drain.
$90,000.
So he had paid
It's sick.
whoever $90,000 for this girl. But does he charge his guests at this party?
No, it's either he paid for the girl as if she was $90,000, or he stole the girl and he was intending to sell her for $90,000. I don't know what is what, but it's honestly fucking
it doesn't
disgusting.
matter. We don't need to think
and
about
it makes
it
me
too
want
hard.
to kill Mark.
Yeah.
if he was a real person, I would kill him myself.
True. I would help.
They have to converse for a couple hours because the ritual didn't start right away. When it's time, Dan leads Zaid to the ritual cave, which is literally like a literal, like, think about a cave, like a bat cave, underground.
Yeah, like
under
they opened
saviors.
a door and it was like a sloping ramp down into
a cave that looked like a bat cave.
Yeah, but then the floor was like black marble, but the walls were stone.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Like it was like a
understand.
A renovated cave.
It was a renovated cave. It was a fake cave. It was a faux cave.
Yeah.
And Zaid puts on a long robe and an Ouroboros necklace, like the rest of the participants. Zaid and 3 other new recruits, which one of them was like this fucking twat who was like so excited to kill this little girl who was put on the altar that looked to be about 5 years old. Another fucking 5-year-old.
Yeah, another little girl.
Who is strapped to a stone slab. And it just makes me, oh my God, like this was so fucking hard to read.
Yeah.
3 mysterious figures in black robes come up to the altar, and one of them gives Zaid a large knife before walking away, and the 3 of them walk away together. Zaid prepares to stab the girl. He lifts the blade over the girl's chest, and he gives a signal while his arms are up in the air with the blade.
Like 2 fingers, like long enough to make sure that they see it.
Yeah, literally. to the security guards that work for him, so that they know like what's about to go down.
It's time.
And then as he brings the knife down, he stabs the man to his right that was a little too excited to stab the little fucking girl, the 5-year-old fucking child. And he kills him, which thank fucking God. Literally.
All these people can die. It's fine.
Chaos ensues, and one of Zaid's men, Michael, who we love Michael. Does
he come back?
Yeah.
Is this the first time we hear of him?
That's the first time I think that we get his name.
Because he's like, Michael this and
no.
Michael.
Actually, Michael was the one that was the fake FBI agent that raided Dan's house.
Okay, I do. And he was like, he let him go once he got taken.
How did Dan not realize that actually, now that I'm thinking about it? How did Dan not realize that? Because I'm 99.9%
No, you're right.
sure.
I'm gonna look it up real quick because I do remember Michael was the one that released him once they got all taken away from that party, and he's like, Michael, let me go. I have a woman to stalk.
That is so fucking crazy.
He's first mentioned in chapter 2.
No, it's right here. He was one of the fake FBI agents. Michael laughs, a glimmer in his eyes. Dan starts up again when another agent leads him into the back of the cop car. His rant is cut off by the slam of the door. Get in the goddamn car, Z. I'm hungry, but it's not for my teeth. And that's Michael that he's talking to. and then that's the same guy who's acting as so Michael comes back in multiple situations.
He's a security guard at the Saviors as well.
Saviors as well as an FBI agent.
That is so funny.
So wait, that's hilarious. I just realized that.
That is so funny.
Anyways, so chaos ensues and Michael comes to take the girl while another of Zaid's men lets in the team of Zaid's people in order to, like, Zaid's order was no one gets out of here alive. So they come in with guns preparing to basically fuck the shit up.
Slaughter.
Right. Before Zaid can pursue the mysterious figures who are the head of the society that handed him the knife, an explosion knocks him back against the altar. Jay rushes to Zaid as he's like trying to...
Jay was in on it, was in with the Saviors. I'm like, what?
I actually did agree, but until obviously
it was like a second later.
Jay rushes to Zaid and Zaid is confused that Jay is there at all. He says he figured out that the last video was intentionally leaked to draw them in, claiming that this ritual initiation was a setup to draw Zaid out.
Oh no.
Someone behind Jay tells Jay and Zaid to put their hands up and like not to fucking move or he's going to blow Zaid's head off, or they're going to blow Zaid's head off. Sorry. And Jay looks up at the person, his eyes growing large, and he says, "You?" Chapter 42, The Manipulator.
Oh, wait, 1 second. He keeps calling the little girl. Okay, wait, he's like stabbing people, right? And he keeps talking about the suctioning noise when the knife comes back out and how it's drowned out by like the other noises. I'm like, I don't know if that's like a realistic noise. Like, I don't know if it would like make a suctioning noise when it comes out. And I thought it was so funny. He kept talking about that. And then he kept calling the little girl pretty girl. Like, okay, pretty girl. Like, we're going to get you out of here.
Oh, I think he's just trying to be. I call my daughter beautiful all the time. That's not weird.
I know, but I don't like it because she's going through this huge trauma, and later she's gonna learn why they kidnapped her, and it's because like she's a little
what are you
pretty
gonna call
girl.
her? Hey, you little ugly shit!
Like,
let's get out of here.
hey, little girl.
I think he's just trying to like be like kind. Hi, sweetie.
I feel like it would fuck me up later for sure. I just don't like. I feel like that for me that I don't know. You can call a little girl like it's very nuanced.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have called her pretty girl while she's strapped onto the altar.
No, I get it. I just feel like he very clearly isn't attracted to children.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not that big of a deal because he's like killing all these people and he's like saving her.
Yeah.
I just hate that.
I feel like he seems like that kind of guy that like doesn't know how to act around children. Even though he's trying to protect them and save them, he doesn't really know how to interact with them. And so he's like, hi, you know, pretty child, you know, you're
get you out of here.
Adorable or whatever, I guess. And yeah, exactly. Like,
I just feel like
get her,
her
out
captors are
ASAP.
probably saying the exact same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's why he hands them off to Ruby. And that's why he doesn't lead them out.
He's not involved in
exactly. Chapter 42, The Manipulator. Adeline tells her mother about Gigi's murder. She's on the phone with her mother. And that Sarah covered up the murders. Adeline's mother does not seem surprised, though, and only says that Sarah must have had a hard time concealing the secret and living with her guilt. Adeline has a realization and asks if her mother sent the photos of Gigi and Frank, and her mother grows silent, which implies that she did send them.
Yeah.
Adeline realizes that her mother knew about the murder, and she was also complicit in covering up the fact that, you know.
I just don't understand why.
Oh, complicit in covering it up after the fact. And that's why she's been so resentful towards Adeline's grandmother. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's just not important at all. Just like why she would hide it after all these years.
Probably because her mother asked her to.
Yeah, but even after.
Which is why she resents her grandmother, her mother.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And, you know, even if you do know about a crime, it doesn't mean you should, or that you are going to just go to the police with the information.
Because what does it matter at that point? Because he was probably long dead at that point.
Right.
Yeah. After hanging up with her mother, Adeline thinks about how she's worried about Zaid, and she feels conflicted about these feelings of caring about Zaid now. She looks at the rose on the counter and hopes that he will make it back alive.
Oh, gosh.
That night, Adeline wakes up to multiple texts from Dea asking for help. She tries to call Dea, but she is sent straight to voicemail, so she gets right in her car to drive to Dea's to make sure that she's okay. On her way there, Adeline notices that another car is driving close behind her, following her. The car behind her rams into her car, and she's able to gain control of her own car and tries to figure out what she should be doing next, like where she should go, what she should do, who she should call.
Yeah, this isn't right.
Yeah, obviously this is bad. Before she can think about anything else, the car rams into her again, knocking the phone from her hand and flipping her car upside down.
Yeah. She like went tumbling a little bit.
Like bad.
Yeah.
Two men come to her door and bust it open and drag her from her vehicle. Adeline is slipping in and out of consciousness, but she hears them say that Adeline is worth a lot of money. One of the men mentions Max.
Oh, okay.
He says,
I missed that part.
It's like one of the last sentences in the book, too. Just get her in the van, Rio. Max is already going to be pissed we fucked up his van. So quit fucking around. The police will be here soon. The man grins at Adeline and tells her it's time to go to sleep, princess. And then he knocks Adeline unconscious. And that's the end of the book.
That's a huge cliffhanger. So we have two cliffhangers. We have who is at the society pointing a gun at Jay and Zaid, and that we know, that they recognize, and that they're surprised about.
Yeah.
And the second one is like, holy shit, Adeline's getting kidnapped.
Right. By someone who acts that Max like put up.
Right.
So should we do a little?
No, let's finish it out so people don't have to skip through it if they don't want to.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Quote of the week.
Oh yeah, quote of the week.
I have two.
Me
I'll
too.
never understand why innocent people must die to feed their delusions. I'll never understand the desire to hurt someone innocent, but that's what attracts them. That's what draws the devil to the angel. They want to corrupt, to hurt, to taint, to cause harm and suffering upon those that never asked for it. That's the sick thrill of it.
Ooh, that's such a good one.
It's Zaid who says that.
I believe that. Yeah.
And my second one is time to go to sleep, princess. It's the last line, like words that were spoken in the book.
Ooh.
And it is just a precursor to the horrors that happen in the second book.
Oh my gosh. Mine, I went a little bit of a different route. Mine was, I have two as well. No one manipulates my girl but me.
Fair.
And then the second one is actually good. I liked it. Zaid is Hades, stepping out from the underworld and wreaking havoc on my quiet little life.
I love that.
I do like that one. Who would you be? I've had a hard time with these ones.
These are hard. Because what?
Because every woman that gets a name besides
Sibby.
Dea is abused. Every man that gets a name is an abuser, including Zaid.
Sibby.
Sibby. Oh, okay.
I don't care. I'll be fucking Sibby. Hands down.
Okay.
Sibby.
I picked a fish in the river
Okay.
because I literally couldn't think. I didn't feel good about any of it.
Sibby.
Who
or
would-
Dea. I would be happy to be
Who would you be though? Or
Dea. Sibby.
who would you want to be?
I would want to be Sibby and I'd be Sibby. I don't care.
I love that. I picked a fish in the river for both. But you know what? Does she get kidnapped? No spoilers. Dea is a good option at this point.
Great option.
Without knowing anything.
Yeah.
Favorite character in the whole book?
Dea.
I do love Dea. Dea is a good choice. I picked Sibby though because she was just so interesting. She just came in at a crazy part, like
She's my favorite.
and had a role. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
She's my favorite for the second half of the second book.
Yeah.
But for
Dea
this
overall?
book specifically, Dea.
Okay, love that.
Dea is a queen.
Who's your least favorite character?
Probably Max, and I'll tell you why. Because he's a little pussy ass bitch.
Ooh, hot take. Well, we all
What
know that
hot
he was.
take.
I don't know. I mean, he was. I feel like he didn't have a huge role.
Yeah.
He just like kind of came in and was like, "What'd
No.
you do to Arch?" And then he disappeared.
There's so many people to hate. The fact that he was involved in taking Adeline is such a pussy ass little move, and he's just such a
Yeah.
little bitch. And like, fuck Max.
Is he involved with the society?
No, not
So it's
really.
different.
It's.
Wow.
I'll explain it when we get to the spoilers, but
Okay.
not really. Just fuck Max. Fuck
Ooh,
Max.
Yeah.
And you know what? And fuck Mark. Mark and his senators are also little pussy ass bitches.
Yeah.
They could all go drown in a lake for all I
In the
fucking
Sound.
care. I wish that all of their deaths would have been slower.
Yeah. Kind of. Sibby like went too easy on him.
Yeah, Sibby really like took the pain away. I wish it would have been longer and more painful.
Yeah. I picked Zaid. I said Zaid is still terrible, but the society members are just foul. Obviously.
Yeah, when you're
Everybody.
comparing him to the society members, it's crazy
yeah.
that you're picking Zaid.
I didn't.
That's a crazy
I
thing.
didn't. I just said Zaid is still terrible.
Yeah, Zaid is still
But
terrible, and that's okay to
The
recognize.
society members are just foul.
Yeah.
So I think, earlier when I wrote this, I picked the society members, all of them.
Yeah, I'm hoping that you're picking the society members because if we're talking about Zaid against pedophiles,
Yeah, obviously
people that are
Zaid-
trying to sacrifice a 5-year-old little girl, 2 5-year-old little girls.
Obviously, Zaid taking
crazy.
them out is better character.
Yeah, I would
Morally.
not disagree with that.
Who was your? Did you pick it already? Oh yeah, I said Max.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you rate this book?
Probably a 3-star.
Okay, that's solid.
Yeah.
I was gonna predict that for you.
I liked reading it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, was it kind of ridiculous and unserious and also hard to read and like kind of crazy and
the
like
sentence structure for me was kind of difficult.
yeah, and that's the
sometimes.
thing. It really comes down to like the
quality of the writing.
quality of the writing. And also just some of the things that were just said by Zaid that were just so unbelievably pretentious. Just like fucking kill me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh my god. Yes, I know what you mean. I gave it a 1 star.
Yeah, that's fair. I figured you'd give it a 1
Yeah,
star.
I didn't like the themes. I thought it was written poorly. It needs a ton of editing. I got bored with the sex scenes towards the end. I just wanted more Zaid in the society. I was like, what crazy hijinks does he have up his sleeve this time? The FBI button was wild.
Yeah, that's fair.
But overall, I would not recommend this book to any of my friends. Well, I would, I'm in the belief that if you recommend a book, like you need to be telling your friends what they're getting into. Don't just be
agree.
like, read Haunting Adeline. Oh my God, you're going to love it. Because if I would be fucking mad at you.
I don't think that I have the ability to recommend a book like that. Any book.
Well, you would
whether
just
I
have to
loved
be
or
like-
hated it. I don't think I'd have the ability to be like, just read this book, you'll love it. I'd be like, read this book
because
it's crazy because this, that.
Here's why you might
that.
love it. Here's why I loved it. Here's why I didn't love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of issues. Go read the Goodreads 1-star reviews. They're really funny.
That's fair.
I didn't read any of the 5-star
Some
ones.
people do like this book, and honestly, like I can see why. I did enjoy it. Like it's a book that I read really quickly.
Yeah,
and
you did read it really fast. I was
read
like, holy
both
shit!
within
you
a
read both
week.
before I read half the first book.
Yeah, I did enjoy. Like I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed the ride.
Yeah,
and like I understand that it's problematic, and I understand that Zayd is obviously not a good guy. But I also do understand the nuance of like everything going on within this book. And as someone who has a child, it is easy for me to maybe see Zayd as better than a lot of people do because of what he's fighting against. Because Lord knows if I had those abilities, I'd fucking start an organization like that too, in the exact same way that Zayd does. I'd look at murder of pedophiles the exact same way that Zayd does. And I have no issues with those things that he's doing.
Yeah.
It's really honestly the only like problems I have with how he started his relationship with Adeline.
Right.
Which is obviously a big red flag, obviously.
But that's some people are into that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
What I think is fun about us having such different feelings about these books is like, regardless of how well the book is written or the themes, like it'll be someone's 5-star, someone's jam,
right?
And then someone's like, whatever. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that
feel
about
like
books.
it's definitely 50-50. I feel like either half the people that read this book either love it or they fucking hate it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of middle ground for it. They're like, it was okay, but
it's literally love or hate.
The butts are too long. Okay. All right, let's get into the spoiler section for book 2.
Spoiler section. I'm going to do a very quick synopsis. You can ask me any questions that you want of things that come back around. So Adeline gets kidnapped by 2 men, Rio and Rick, who take her they hurt her really badly, and they take her to a doctor who is like an underground doctor. He doesn't work with
Is he a
like,
veterinarian?
No.
It's always a veterinarian. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I do.
him.
But it's not. It's a doctor who was fired for like malpractice.
Oh, good.
And can't like practice.
He doesn't
at
have a license anymore.
Yeah, like at a normal facility, and they won't let him do. So he like has an underground practice where he does work on people, but it's all behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And he ends up being a super creep where he will take a lot of his patients, and he'll the women and the children and young children, like they specifically say that, and he'll like abuse them.
Oh my god, you know what, somebody in our city got in trouble for that a couple years ago.
Yeah,
he was like a
really
plastic
bad.
surgeon.
Ugh. It's very fucking annoying. Anyways, and and they fix her up, and they take her to what they call a groomer, which is basically where they anyone that they kidnap, they take to these places like houses out in the middle of like nowhere, and they groom them to basically be
like more desirable,
not even desirable, but to have the right attitudes.
So
it's not even about physical
like
appearances. It's about submission, and it's about breaking them down mentally. So that way, because a lot of these guys that are buying these women and children, like they want to buy something that's going to be sustainable long term. But if they are acting out, if they're being,
fighting,
if they're fighting against things, then more than likely that they'll kill them. And if they're paying the amount of money that they are, which typically it's a lot. They want something that's going to be like a sustainable product, because that's how they see these girls. They see them as products.
It's a business.
Zayd is obviously on Zayd's end. He's freaking out. He knows that Adeline is kidnapped. He wakes up kind of, or not wakes up, but we see him when he's underground at the Savior's Club. Turns out that the person that runs the whole society is Claire, Mark's wife. And Mark didn't even know.
He didn't know. The fire red, cherry haired woman.
Yeah. And she was happy that Mark died. She was like thrilled. She was like, he was abusing me, but he had no idea that I was the one pulling the strings behind closed doors. She does have 2 other accomplices, but they don't explain that till later. And Zayd escapes her. She wants to take him into questioning, but he escapes her easily. And then he finds out that Adeline has been kidnapped, and he goes to try and find her. Adeline again is back to Adeline. She's taken to this groomer. whose name is, I think, Francesca. I don't have the book.
Francesca.
And Molly is, Adeline finds a book, a journal that was written by someone who was trapped in Francesca's grooming station. And Molly wrote all these passages about how she's going to escape. And it was written 15 years before Adeline was even there. And so she read those, and those were like her hope, like that she would get out of there. Adeline is so fucked up when she gets to Francesca's that they give her a week, and then she's going to have to start her training. After the week, she starts her training. And how, trigger warning, how they basically groom these women is they tell them what they need to do in a very like forceful and rude and awful way. And if they don't comply, they will beat them and they will rape them. There's a lot of men in the house. There's only one woman. Sorry, her name, obviously Francesca, and then her brother Rocco is the one that assists her in all of this.
Sister
and Rocco has a lot of friends that come in and out. Rick and Rio are always there. And they basically all the men will gang rape her except for Rio. Rio ends up being Adeline's like friend, kind of. Interesting. Which is very hard. But he helps her while she's in that house. And she is obviously very defiant. So she acts out a lot, and she ends up getting punished. A lot. Okay. There's another little girl there, or not little girl. Sorry. She's not little. She's an adult. What's her name? Sarah. I think it's not Sarah. Fuck. Okay. It's Sydney. So Sydney is a little fucking psycho who thinks everything that's happening is like hilarious. And we later find out that she's Sibby's sister.
Okay. I was like, she sounds like Sibby, what I just,
but like, not, but sentences. Sibby has like a moral compass. Sydney is a fucking lunatic.
Interesting.
Who like goes out of her way to make sure the girls get in trouble so that they get like raped.
Right.
And like beaten. Like she thinks everything is hilarious, and she wants to be in the house because that's like her like safe space. And she's fucking psycho. Anyways, so Adeline ends up being there for 2 months, abused, tortured. Like at one point they do what's called a culling, where they have the men that are looking to potentially buy all the women that are young ladies that are there, which I think there's like 4 of them, or 4 or 5, and those men hunt.
Oh my god!
In the fields outside of the house, hunt them like literally with crossbows. And it's their way of ensuring that, like, again, that the product is like durable.
Oh my gosh!
And like strong,
right?
And can endure the things that they like need them to endure. Oh my gosh! Adeline ends up making it like well, and she does a good job. But 2 of the girls end up not doing such a good job, and they end up getting shot. And they're tortured the whole night, and then they make the girls that survive it kill them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's horrible. And then Adeline plans to get out. Zayd is circling in. He's figuring things out. He ends up making friends with like another group that is in Portland. He figures out that they're like outside of Portland. And she makes a plan to escape. She ends up escaping with Rio's help, and she hides out in a train. Right at the same time, Zayd has figured out what house that they're in and is trying to like get to her as well.
Oh my gosh.
He ends up finding her on the train like the night after she escapes, and she ends up having to kill Sydney on her during her escape because Sydney is like trying to kill her. Like they have like a whole like battle royale. So she ends up having to kill Sydney. She ends up having to kill one of the men that's like hurt her in the past.
Yeah.
And in order to escape, she sits on the plane. They reunite. Not the plane, the train. They reunite. Zayd and Adeline. And then after, it's basically all about her recovery. He is helping her. She has like solid month or 2 where she's just completely
like a zombie.
Yeah. Zombie, like just struggling. And then finally she decides that she wants to help capture the people that hurt her.
Nice.
And he trains her to be a fighter and how to, protect herself, whatever. Slowly throughout the second half of the book, she starts to heal and learns how to be okay with like Zayd's touch again. Again, she loves him. So like, she wants to be okay with it. But like for a long time, she doesn't want to be touched because she just sees herself as like dirty and tainted,
yeah.
and it's just horrible. And by the end of it, they end up dismantling all of
dismantling pedophilia.
They end up killing the 3 leaders of the society together, and including Claire. So they end human trafficking. And Sibby comes back at one point, and she's living with Adeline. She escaped the mental asylum that she was in, and so she's living with them throughout the entire second half of the book. And so her and Adeline become really good friends.
That's funny. What about Dea?
And Dea is also included in that. She's also helping as well. So it's like her, Adeline, and Dea are like 3 little peas in a pod.
That's funny.
And yeah, so they dismantle all of sex trafficking. Sibby runs off with some random man at the end of it. And then in the epilogue, Adeline's having like a nightmare, and Zaid wakes her up by, thrusting into her while she's asleep. And then they have anal, and he proposes.
What a wonderful, beautiful ending.
And she says yes.
Nice. So
and
they're
that's how that ends. Yeah.
Another cliffhanger.
No cliffhanger. I mean,
everything's wrapped up tightly.
They're gonna get married.
All the loose ends are.
I think Sibby has a book, Satan's Affair, cool. And then Molly has a book.
That's cool.
So,
yeah. So there's the little,
and there's so much more to that. Like,
I'm sure
there's so much more.
It's a big book.
it's a crazy book. It's hard. The first half is hard to read.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I don't want that.
Oh, it's so hard.
You don't want that. Okay. So that was the short recap of Hunting Adeline.
Yeah.
Next week we're going to be reading Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and we're going to be reading through the chapter called Iron, which I think it's the only chapter called Iron because from what I understand, it's like 2 POVs that switch between a man and a woman.
Okay.
So it's going to be kind of hard. I kind of have it written, figured out for us. But for the listeners, if you want to follow along, read through Iron.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. I'll read through Iron and I'll listen along.
Yay.
If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at litlibationspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you have anything you want to send us, go ahead and send it to us. Fan art, fanfic, any kind of story. Go rate 5 stars on Apple Podcasts if you love us. Go rate and review. Go subscribe on YouTube. YouTube is, I think, a lot funner than I thought it was going to be. I
think so too.
So yeah, and then we'll see you next week for Rock, Paper, Scissors in our 3rd costume.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right,
you're gonna love it.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.